Now live from the Devil Radio studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday edition. I got Fancy Brian here in the world headquarters with me. I can see you, Fancy. How you doing, big guy?
I don't even know what to do with myself.
Nor I.
My hands are being used, but otherwise I wouldn't know what to do with them.
You know, it's great to see you, big guy. Glad you made the trip. I know you love hanging out with Crudy.
It's fun. We're doing some things. We're making things happen. We're making some cookies and baking them in the oven together.
I got the Easy Bake, the light bulb. It's fresh.
Yeah.
It'll bake up nicely.
Yeah, get a nice solar powered light bulb. We're good to go.
Fancy Brian, did you have a nice Father's Day, big galoot that you are?
Absolutely. Went to a birthday party. Then I went to a Cubs game yesterday. It was great. Yeah.
Cubs game.
Went to an awesome Cubs game, even though they lost. It played in Atlanta. It was a perfect, beautiful day. I sat in the shade, had breeze coming on me. It was Juneteenth. Everybody was celebrating, sold out crowd. Got to eat some amazing wings, and then walk through the neighborhoods where Darby was born and grew up. It was pretty awesome.
That seems like a great day. Very nostalgic, other than the Big L, Cubs game. Walk through the old hood with the missus and the daughter. Man, that's a great day.
I felt real again, man. It was good.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I didn't, no offense. I actually had a nice Father's Day. I took my father-in-law and my brother-in-law golfing, and then me and the kids and, my brother-in-law and his son, we all went out to dinner. So, not bad. We ate and we golfed. But I saw everyone else had like their kids posted something heartfelt and sentimental on the Facebook. My kids didn't feel so moved.
Well, I didn't put anything on Facebook either. My dad's on Facebook, but I'm like, I flooded the zone with so much political stuff that I kind of have to make a choice on that.
Only a week ago I had a birthday. My kid acknowledged my birthday. Dad, you're the greatest. Something like that.
Well, it probably popped up in his timeline.
And he didn't realize it was Father's Day. I got a card. My wife was very nice to me. I went to the store. I bought a couple items for myself, some good sunglasses. Tired of squinting through the cheap sunglasses. You get the gas stations. I've been wearing a lot of those this summer. So far, it's like glorious 95 and sunny here in Madison. It's like we're tropical these days.
Yeah, it's a little bit humid. The large folks like myself don't really don't last very well on this, but I'm getting better. Gonna have to get used to it, everybody.
The humidity. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. So anyways, got some sunglasses and bought myself a new Badger hat. I'm something of a homer. If you didn't know, I broadcast here in the great state of Wisconsin. Some say, including yours truly, greatest state ever.
I've been told.
Best state ever. We have the unique shape and all that stuff. We got stuff going for us here.
I haven't seen you wear the Badger hat in a while. What happened to your?
I have
to get a new one.
Several Badger hats, and I only like one brand, like they're clothy, and so I've been telling my family for like 4 birthdays, 4 Christmases, 4 Father's Day. Hey, can I get a new Badger hat, please? I don't like to buy my own stuff anymore.
And did they say, yeah, go get one?
No, everyone gets me like Badger hats that I don't like. They just buy me any old Badger hat. I'm like, well, I'm not wearing that one or that one or that one. So finally I just broke down. I said, I will buy my own freaking Badger hat. I bought the same hat. I got like 4 of in the closet, but they're all getting, they sweat through, they get ratty and washed and rattier and painted on. I like to age them. They're all classics now.
Yeah, they actually have a way to do that I usually when I get cast in things, I usually play like a blue collar worker or some kind of guy who's been doing stuff. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Guy?
I know or a guy who deserves to get punched.
That seems like a miscast.
Yeah.
Continue
for sure. And they have to distress your clothes. So that what they do is they have an entire method for taking new stuff.
Oh, I would have thought
making it look old. So
just putting you in the clothes would have distressed the clothes
Usually
somewhat.
it does. Usually it does. It stretches them out. It gives them a little bit of ironing, and stuff is peeled by the end of the day. You got to get it all in one take. Otherwise, we're screwed with me. No, anyway, don't listen if you're listening, film producers. Anyway, point is, they put me in this stuff and they have to distress the thing. So they basically run over it with cars and throw it in the dirt and just stomp on it. And
are you wearing the clothes at that time?
No.
Oh, you're not speed bumps.
Well, they haven't asked me to do that yet. I wouldn't think it's a union thing.
It'd be more authentic if you did.
I would think so.
You know what I find just a little distressing? This headline of the day. Let's do a little politics.
I like that.
The Texas GOP, the grand old party, great state of Texas. Well, they rejected a couple of things, had their party convention this weekend. You know, the Democratic Party has their big convention this weekend as well. I'm going to be there. I'm going to broadcast it. You will hear it if you tune in on Saturday night. We'll give you all the speeches. We'll give you a little pregame coverage from yours truly. I'll be in La Crosse. I'll be in the 3rd CD, Western Wisconsin, or if you're looking at the back of Russ Feingold Sand over by the Pinky, kind of Pinky joint right there. That's where La Crosse is. And that's my old stomping grounds. Me and Dominic, we were college roommates in La Crosse. So I got both the broadcasters, the convention. I'm going to be off on Wednesday. Kristen Bry is going to fill in for me on Wednesday.
I'm looking forward to that.
Kristen Bry, comedian. She does As Goes Wisconsin. She's got lots of different media things. She does something for the Journal Sentinel. And I know she fills in sometimes on the inferior, but somewhat bigger stick down the dial. Anyways, Kristen is going to fill in for me. I feel very, very pleased to have her do so. That will be this Wednesday. And then I will be broadcasting Thursday and Friday, and then a little special coverage Saturday. And Dom will join me. We'll do our little connection, at least through the media airwaves. We're not actually going to be in the same place because I'll be partying in La Crosse and he's got something back in Milwaukee. But anyways, here is the distressing lead headline. It's from the Texas GOP. They've made a couple of adoptions for their platform. Number 1, we reject homosexuality. It's abnormal.
Really?
Yeah. They voted on it.
Bye.
Made it part of their platform. We reject homosexuality. And the other thing is we reject democracy.
Oh, very good.
They literally reject democracy. Let me bring you some of CNN's coverage. The Republican Party of Texas over the weekend adopted a resolution at its state convention that rejects President Joe Biden as the winner of the 2020 election. We don't believe it. Further aligning the state party establishment with former President Donald Trump in pushing false election claims. Here is the specific resolution that was voted on. We reject the certified results of the 2020 presidential election, and we hold that acting President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. was not legitimately elected by the people of the United States. Read the resolution passed by voice vote in Houston on Saturday. We strongly urge all Republicans to work to ensure election integrity and to show up to vote in November 2022. Bring your friends and family, volunteer for your local Republicans, and overwhelm any possible fraud. Overwhelm any possible fraud.
Hey, Republicans of goodwill, if there are any left, please do something.
Brian Bodine, not spelled fancy like your name. Again, the reporting of CNN, talking about the Texas GOP party convention this weekend. Before the final resolution was adopted, Brian Bodine, a platform committee member who says he wrote the resolution, we don't believe the last election resolution, proposed an amendment about the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. It asserted that and here's the quote, Fancy Brian, rights of those charged with crimes have been violated, and rejected the narrative, air quotes, that events at the U.S. Capitol represented an insurrection. The proposal drew applause and chants of "Let's go, Brandon." Matt Rinaldi, chairman of the committee, ruled the amendment was out of order. It would not be considered. But the platform also included a section calling homosexuality and abnormal lifestyle choice, and opposing all efforts to validate transgender identity. They voted on it. They don't believe in other humans' right to their own sexuality.
Great job. Great job. I at Wrigley, I ran into a dude running down the street yelling, "Let's go, Brandon." I told him to shut the F up. And then as he was running away, called me a P word. It was great.
Was he running fast? You could have caught a big guy.
I'm not walking faster than I can. I'm not going to run after the guy. My daughter's with me. I just wanted to, the guy kept on saying it over and over and over again. Okay, we got your point. Shut the F up. You're a man, and then ran away. It was great.
Very, very courageous act. The rando. Anyways.
Well, when you can't, bring yourself to swear in front of people,
A little bit more here from CNN's reporting from Texas. The state party's platform has not yet been finalized, according to Jeff Wezalek, a spokesperson for the Texas GOP, but votes are being tallied on each individual plank. Also during the convention, Texas Senator John Cornyn, a lead GOP negotiator on the bipartisan gun talks, received boos from his home state crowd after he said he had fought and kept President Biden's gun-grabbing wish list off the table. And then they booed him, the home state guy, because he's not harsh enough. Democrats pushed for an assault weapons ban. I said no. They tried to get a new 3-week mandatory waiting period for all gun purchases. I said no. Universal background checks, magazine bans, licensing requirements. The list goes on and on and on. I said no, 1,000 times no. Cornyn said. So what's left, John? You told us a lot of stuff you're not for. The Texas GOP, they're not for gun reform. They're not for, homosexual rights. And certainly they ain't for democracy. Come back. Devil's Advocates. It's Monday. Get to work, blue collar style. Distressed and all that kind of stuff.
Stars at night, a big and bright.
That plus.
Hey, I'm Haley Kiyoko, and I know what it's like to struggle with mental health issues. If you have a friend that's going through a tough time, now is the perfect moment to reach out. Learn how to start the conversation at seizetheawkward.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
The plaintiff, Donald J. Trump, hereby serves his suit against the defendants, Hillary Clinton and her cohorts, orchestrated an unthinkable plot, one that shocks the conscience and is in the front of the nation's democracy. This week on Fox. You know what I mean? Like you're throwing a few too many adverbs and adjectives in this sentence.
One man, one mission Donald Trump gets made fun of. This is Watergate 2.
Making radio great again.
Get that every time.
Reservations at your favorite restaurant.
I've been trying to reduce gluten. You don't want to know why. Thanks so much for waiting. Your table's ready.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
Perfect. Thanks.
Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. Because freedom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday edition. Got Fancy Brian here with me in the world headquarters. He's screening the calls, doing the drops. being super cool. He's got all that stuff going for him.
Saying the things, got the whatnot.
You can be part of this big production in 844-967-2789. Fancy want to turn our attention back down to Texas for a bit longer. Now, I spent some time in Texas when I was in the military. Fort Sam Houston. It's been 6 months. Loved it. You know, if you got to be in the military in Texas, Fort Sam is a great station.
Now, I know it says Sam Houston, but is that located near Houston?
San Antonio, actually.
Okay.
San Antonio is a cool town. It was great, man. We'd go to the Mexican flea markets. We'd go to the Riverwalk.
Oh, the Riverwalk is awesome in San Antonio.
The hotel rooms.
Yeah.
They love the service guys. Mm-hmm. So we'd all go running off and get hotel rooms on Friday night. And, you know, we'd head back to base on Sunday. But yeah, San Antonio.
San Antonio. I like El Paso. I like Austin a lot. It's a cool. Dallas itself is a really cool town.
I went to Houston. Dom and I went to Houston, where this apparent Republican GOP convention was very recently. We went down there for the presidential debate. I just remember it being hot and the traffic driving very, very fast in Houston.
That's pretty much the same thing here. I'm still hot thinking about it.
Let's talk a little bit more about the platform of the GOP. TheHill.com reporting Brad Dress, Texas GOP adopts an anti-LGBTQ platform, refers to being gay as abnormal. Well, that's how to move the party forward, isn't it?
You know what I think is abnormal? Continuing to go on about an election that you completely lost.
Having a party platform predicated on the Old Testament of the Bible.
Yeah.
In 2022.
Caring so much about other people's genitals that you're willing to put it front and center on your campaign. We care so much about other people's genitals and what they do with them.
Let me read a little from the reporting at the Hill. Doesn't say exactly about the genitals thing, but let me read a little. The Texas Republican Party adopted a new platform on Saturday that refers to homosexuality as abnormal and opposes all efforts to validate transgender identity. The Texas GOP party adopted the 40-page platform at its biennial convention in Houston after passing the party's new guiding principles, which include a section called homosexuality and gender issues. I'm not a big fan of the transgenders, I don't think. The section includes a formal position declaring the state GOP party is against giving a special legal status to gay men or women, and that they support people who oppose homosexuality based on faith, religion, or belief in traditional values. I'm just bigoted. I just don't like gay people. Well, that's good enough for us, right? Traditional values.
That must suck. Like, your whole life must suck if you get so upset about other people. Oh my gosh. Like, what do you do with your life that you care so much?
I mean, really, in the whole scheme of the world, do we have the right to not be offended by other people's lifestyle choices or not choices, depending on your point of view? But even if it were a choice, so what? It's not your choice. I don't understand why somebody else's lifestyle, what I do in my bedroom or you do in yours, or Dom does in several bedrooms and kitchen counter and all that kind of stuff. I don't see why that matters to you. You being the generic, the broader Republican Party.
I think support for Donald Trump is stupid. I just don't think you should be locked up for it, or maybe, excluded from rights for it.
844-967-2789. More from the platform of the Republican Party of Texas. Homosexuality is an abnormal lifestyle choice. We believe there should be no granting of special legal entitlements or creation of special status for homosexual behavior, regardless of the state of origin. So in other words, what? You get married in the state of Wisconsin, they're not going to acknowledge it in the state of Texas? A wave of anti-LGBTQ bills have flooded red states this year, with Republican-leading majorities specifically targeting the transgender community. And Texas has passed laws banning the participation of transgender youth in sports and prohibiting the discussion of sexual orientation or transgender identity in public schools. The Movement Advancement Project gives Texas a low rating for LGBTQ rights. Oh, that's a shocker. Texas Governor Greg Abbott drew backlash earlier this year when he ordered state officials to investigate parents of transgender children who allow their child to undergo gender-affirming care, which the state attorney general, Ken Paxton, called child abuse. The indicted felon, Ken Paxton. Why is he not, had his day in court? But I read on. The directive is still being challenged in court after a judge recently halted the investigations. At the Texas Republican Party convention on Saturday, Senator Ted Cruz spoke in opposition to what he called the woke agenda from the left and discussed Disney's new Lightyear movie with the popular Buzz Lightyear character from the Toy Story franchise, because one scene includes a same-sex couple kissing.
Oh my goodness. It's almost like a lot of people's families in all across America.
Like, just leave the kids alone, Cruz said. Consenting adults, you can do what you want to do. Not in Texas, not under your platform, but let me read on. But this culture assault is driven by radical leftists who want to tear down America. The party's new platform was adopted during Pride Month. Yeah, that's a nice little side note. A time when the LGBTQ community and the movement's supporters rally and hold events in support. The community has been on edge during festivities this month after 31 members of the Patriot Front, a far-right white supremacist organization based in Texas, were arrested earlier this month in Idaho for conspiracy to riot at a Pride event.
Stupid losers, and a lot of them, by the way, were from the North Dallas suburbs area.
And it was also very unusual, Fancy Brian. They all wore masks. It's almost like, if you want to cover your face with like a Klan hood or a ski mask to try and be sort of less than fully transparent.
Well, it was part of the uniform.
Well, apparently you can breathe through that mask. So anyways, come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. It is the Monday edition, and you could be a part. Dial us up, 844-967-2789. More of us, more of you if you call.
Homosexuality is not something that we should be supporting.
Transgender troops in our bathroom.
Can we marry dogs?
Freedom! Ted Cruz, go.
Stay informed with progressive news and talk on WTTN 1580 AM, Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Listen to your favorite political talkers no matter where you are. 92.7 FM in Madison and Eastern Dane County, 1580 AM Columbus, north of Madison, and for daytime east-west commutes on I-94, 101 FM in the Shaw, and 540 AM covering eastern Wisconsin all day and covering the Milwaukee Metro, the Wild Counties, Racine, and Kenosha 24/7. Download the free Devil Radio app for your smartphone and take both stations with you everywhere. No excuses, just listen.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Shipments have arrived in some parts of the country to start vaccinating kids under 5 against the coronavirus.
All right, listen, release the deep breath. Remember that little boy that's the other way?
In Lexington, South Carolina, 3-year-old Fletcher Pack got his first shot. His mom was holding him. Roughly 18 million children will be eligible, but it remains to be seen how many will ultimately get the vaccines. There are 2 choices for kids under 5, Moderna or Pfizer. White House coronavirus response coordinator Dr. Ashish Jha was asked which one is better.
What I say to parents is we're lucky to have 2 choices. They're both exceedingly safe. They're both effective. If you really, so either one is fine. If there's some nuanced, subtle differences, you can talk to your family physician or pediatrician about them.
Jha was on ABC's Good Morning America. President Biden is planning a trip to Germany and elsewhere. And speaking to reporters in Delaware, the president was asked if the trip will include a stop in Ukraine.
That depends.
On what?
On a lot of things relating to whether or not it causes more difficulty for Ukrainians, whether it distracts from what's going on. But I've been meeting with Zelensky, and I've talked with him almost, well, at least 3-4 times a week.
A court in Japan has ruled the country's ban on same-sex marriage does not violate the Constitution and rejected demands for compensation by 3 couples in Japan who say their right to free union and equality has been violated. China says it has successfully intercepted a missile in flight in a test of an anti-ballistic missile system that could improve its defenses as it presses its territorial claims. The defense ministry gave no details, but said the test was purely defensive in nature. The missile interception test comes as China has been escalating threats against the self-governing island of Taiwan. It's also been asserting its claims to much of the South China Sea. This is AP News.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Last week, Dane County filed a lawsuit against the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources over requirements in a recent permit to the Dane County Regional Airport mandating PFAS testing of wastewater. The lawsuit was shocking to some environmental advocates that have been working for years to require the state DNR to include such requirements. The county contends the lawsuit is to remove mitigation redundancies the county is already undertaking to address PFAS contamination. Parents and district staff are concerned there may be an exodus of Madison School District special education assistants if the district does not approve the $5 an hour raise hourly employees are seeking to address the rising cost of living. The local teachers union, Madison Teachers Inc., and the administration are currently in contract negotiations ahead of the 2022-23 school year and have yet to agree to terms, with many schools in the district already stretched thin for staff. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday edition. Dom's joining in hour 2. You can join right now live via phone. Going to him next at 844-967-2789. Let's see, Jesse. I believe by a nose, Jesse, you're first in the queue. How you doing, man?
Well, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on again, buddies.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's really important that all the people out there listening, when you are at the broader Thanksgiving or whatever family dinner table and you hear, your homophobic uncle or aunt pipe up about this kind of stuff, that you do give them some pushback, and you don't need to be, an academic on it to really nail them. And the fact is this, and it is a fact. There is example of homosexuality throughout the animal kingdom. Penguins, dogs, horses, insects, fruit flies, like we have it. It's documented, it's known. And if they're going to say that this is unnatural, they're going to have it's not about convincing them. They'll never be convinced. But you do have other people at the table who are younger and impressionable, who are still learning about the world and making up their minds. And that's the kind of logic that it's undeniable. If they're going to say that this is unnatural, then why is it all throughout nature?
Well, I don't think they're actually trying to explain it away. They're just calling it sinful. It's what, Leviticus, sure, Old Testament, they're selectively using the Bible.
But if their God made it, then it's not natural, because if an animal was born homosexual, then humans are animals and so are we. So it at least is not the kind of thing that you're going to convince your racist uncle about or your homophobic uncle or aunt about. But you might have some cousins around the dinner table that that's the kind of thing that strikes the chord. So I just say that it worked for me for getting some family members to open their minds to say, look, this is a nature. Your God, you think God made the universe? Well, he made homosexuality too. Totally natural.
Jesse, let me ask. We've seen an evolution, at least even amongst Republican gubernatorial candidate Rebecca Clayfish. Now, she was the, can we marry lamp woman? And now she's okay with gay marriage, same-sex marriage. But Tim Michaels, the, businessman Trump endorsed, he's against. He's not down for the same-sex marriage. So what's he going to take us backwards, Jesse?
Yeah, probably. And follow that to its logical conclusion. They also don't want gay people to be able to adopt, which is horrific, right? If you're an orphan, don't you just want a loving, stable family? And what kind of cruel person would profess to believe in a caring God, but not want an orphan to have a stable home.
They just want the babies to be birthed, Jesse. Then
I'm well aware of that. I'm talking to the people in the back of the room. You know me.
Appreciate your call. 844-967-2789. Next up, Susan in the car. Welcome, Susan. What do you got for us?
Well, I just keep thinking when you talk about the Republican Party convention and all this other stuff that they're blatantly putting out there, I wonder how the average, ordinary person who tends to be, well, the independent who votes Republican from time to time really feels about that, because I believe that independents are independent because they want to choose what's best for them. And I can't imagine that they feel that this is something that they should align themselves with. I guess that's how I look at it. So I feel like it's not, it can't be helping the Republican Party be this way.
You know what's interesting, Susan? As you were speaking, and I was trying to pay attention, but I also pulled up some polling. Gallup polling from about a year ago at this time, most Republicans back some form of same-sex marriage. About 55% of Republicans believe in this. You know, outside of Texas, apparently, Susan.
Right. Well, I believe that that's even higher in a lot of parts of the country. So, because I'm sure there are many families who are affected, not affected, I don't want to use that word, who have people who have different sexual preferences in their families and ways of being. So I can't imagine that this sits well with them.
I think you make good points. Thanks for listening, Susan. I want to get this out there. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I missed this the other day. Didn't really talk about it on air, but there's still time. Right now, 844-967-2789. You can also pick some topics. We'll take your calls. Lightly screened by Fancy Brian in the world headquarters. Madison, Dateline Madison, Republican gubernatorial candidate Tim Michels says he believes marriage should be between one man and one woman, a position he holds today that matches one he took 2 decades ago as a U.S. Senate candidate at a time when most Americans agreed. As a long time ago. But in 2022, support for gay marriage has grown to nearly universal, with 72% of Wisconsinites who support marriage for gay and lesbian couples, according to recent state pollings. Now, Michael's a wealthy construction executive from Connecticut, right? Let me read on.
Just like you and me.
Who entered the GOP primary for governor in April, lost a bid for the U.S. Senate in 2004. During that campaign, he called for amending the U.S. Constitution to ban gay marriage and said people should not have gay values imposed on them.
Well, I don't think he should have stupid values. So
he does, though. He does have stupid values. In an interview with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel on last Tuesday, about a week ago, Michels reiterated that position, saying he believes marriages belong to opposite-sex couples in response to whether he supports same-sex marriage or believes it should be banned. You know, basically, a little bit more. Wisconsin voters approved an amendment to the state constitution in 2006 that banned same-sex marriage, but a federal judge overturned the ban in 2014, and the U.S. Supreme Court, in a separate case a year later, established a nationwide right to same-sex marriage. Well, that was a different court and a different day. I mean, Roe v. Wade, we haven't talked about it much lately, but Roe v. Wade's coming down perhaps as soon as next Monday. Planned Parenthood here in the state of Wisconsin has stopped scheduling abortions. Why? Because they don't know if they're going to be legal next week. And the draft opinion we saw, Alito, I think, drafted it, said that basically if it wasn't enumerated in the Constitution, it's not a right. Well, same-sex marriage is not enumerated. The right to marry someone outside of your race is not enumerated. The right to use contraception in marriage is not enumerated in the Constitution as a right. So if you think we're done having these battles, if you think Tim Michels is old school and it doesn't matter what the old man thinks, it does, because we're fighting these cultural wars each and every elective cycle. A little bit more. Wisconsin voters, we talked about the Wisconsin voters, their, same-sex marriage ban back in 2006. Supporters of that ruling have become worried the High Court could reverse itself on the issue after a draft opinion leaked this spring showing a majority was ready to overturn Roe v. Wade. I just talked about that. Polling conducted in April by Marquette University Law School showed just 19% of Wisconsinites opposed marriages for gay and lesbian couples. Well, I don't know that, Michaels would have fallen in that category, probably living in Connecticut at that time. But anyway, support in the state for same-sex marriage has ballooned from 55% up to 72% in April. And Michael's opposition to same-sex marriage is in contrast between Democratic incumbent Tony Evers and his top Republican primary opponents. Evers says he supports gay marriage and was the first governor to raise the pride flag over a state capitol, signifying support for gay residents of the state of Wisconsin. Republican candidates for governor, and I took notice, Rebecca Clayfish and Kevin Nicholson balked at Evers' use of the flag, but have not said that they oppose gay marriage. That's a change for Clayfish. As the article points out, in Clayfish's case, her current position reflects a change in position from comments she made when she first ran for lieutenant governor. At what point are we going to okay marrying inanimate objects? Clayfish asked in a Christian radio station appearance. Can I marry this table or this, clock? Can we marry dogs? This is ridiculous. Biblically, again, I'm not going to go right back to my fundamental Christian beliefs. Marriage is between one man and one woman. She later apologized for using a poor choice of words, and she now considers the debate over same-sex marriage over, according to a campaign spokesperson.
Yeah, too bad. Lost me forever. Same with Michaels. Lost me forever. Bye.
Rebecca believes in the legalization of same-sex marriages and agrees with President Trump that it's settled law, no longer up for discussion. Kind of like Roe was, right? She's all for overturning Roe. I guarantee it. Rebecca is all for overturning Roe v. Wade. Nicholson also told the Journal Sentinel he did not want the courts to revisit the legality of same-sex marriage. The American people have made clear their view on this, and they believe that it should be legal. Most do. Hannah Menshoff, a spokeswoman for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, said Michaels was once again staking out the most radical position on gay marriage like he did in the 2004 U.S. Senate race. Barry Burden, a political science professor and director of elections research at the UW-Madison, said Michaels' statement is sufficiently ambiguous that it probably won't hurt him in the general election. It should, though, shouldn't it?
Well, who else are you going to go to?
But he is apparently not making clear what he thinks about the law about marriage should be, but it is generally stating that he thinks it should only involve one man and one woman. I mean, I'm pretty clear he's homophobic here. I mean, do we have to give him the benefit of the doubt? Well, maybe he's only ambiguously homophobic.
No, he's just a bigot.
In the Republican primary, showing opposition to same-sex marriage can help him. In the general election, abortion is likely to dominate among the social issues that will get attention, Burden predicted. Same-sex marriage, that could be a big deal as well. And something interesting, Fancy Brian? CNN reported on this. There's a middle school in Massachusetts, and they're quote-unquote Catholic. And they were trying to be inclusive. And this month, they put up flags honoring Black Lives Matter, in deference to Juneteenth, let's say, and also a pride flag. And the church has decided they can no longer call themselves proper Catholics.
In St. Francis's church? Really?
Let me just throw a little bit more out there. 844-967-2789. A Massachusetts middle school can no longer be called Catholic. Can't be Catholic. After flying a gay pride and a Black Lives Matter flag at the school, the bishop of the Diocese of Worcester of the Catholic Church says.
Worcester.
The Nativity School of, say it for me.
Worcester.
The Nativity School of Worcester, which says the governance and control of school operations are fully independent of the diocese and receives no funding from them, vowed to appeal the bishop's decision. Bishop Robert McManus Thursday cited an open letter to the school in early May as part of the reason for his decision. I publicly stated in an open letter that these symbols, flags, embody specific agendas or ideologies that contradict Catholic social and moral teachings. How so? It is my contention that the gay pride flag represents support of gay marriage and actively living an LGBTQ lifestyle. This is also true of Black Lives Matter. McManus said, the Catholic Church teaches us that life is sacred, and the church certainly stands unequivocally behind the phrase Black Lives Matter and strongly affirms that all lives matter.
Wow. In Francis's church. That's amazing.
After the current school year, the school can't identify and describe itself as Catholic, McManus says. Catholic Mass is prohibited on school grounds, along with any school-sponsored Mass at any church or chapel within the diocese, among other repercussions, McManus says. The school cited a call from students, the majority of whom are people of color, as one reason for flying the flag starting in January of 2021. As a multicultural school, the flags represent the inclusion and respect of all people. These flags simply state that they are all welcome at nativity, and this value of inclusion is rooted in Catholic teachings. Yeah, but they don't like the New Testament. They don't like the Jesus sort of Christianity.
I'm going to have my mom call some people. She used to work with those folks.
You have them call. I like this school. Stand up for their kids. The Archdiocese, a little less so. Come back. More Devil's Advocates.
Welcome to Worcester. $1.25, please.
If you love someone and you want to marry them, we're not going to penalize you.
You love them enough to do anything for them,
Dad, can we make 200 cookies for my bake sale tomorrow?
Let's do this. Including checking nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I want to get back to being in my community group.
I want to continue having a soccer season.
So I can throw parties again.
So I can go to her parties.
It'd really be nice to dine in instead of getting delivery for a change.
So I can feel safe and protected for myself and my students.
We each have our own reason for why we're getting vaccinated against COVID-19. What will yours be? Visit getvaccineanswers.org for information on the COVID-19 vaccines. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
There seemingly is a willingness amongst Republicans to subvert future elections. How troubling is that to you, man?
Yeah, I think it's more than troubling. It's the core issue in the upcoming elections in 22 and 24, and it's going to be seen that way by historians. These people are out to destroy the democracy. To me, that is the linchpin issue in the upcoming election.
To what end, Matt?
Do we destroy our democracy or not?
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Monaco Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, monacobrewingcompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
With so much loss, you may feel like you can't handle it all. Meditation or other spiritual practices can help you feel more grounded and better able to cope.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday edition. You can always be a part, 844-967-2789. I want to tell you about a little campaign ad being rolled out in Missouri. I found a headline here. Paul Waldman at the Washington Post. Elite Republicans are now openly encouraging political violence. Openly encouraging political violence. And we got some sound for you.
I wish I could tell you I was surprised.
At this moment in history, Republican radicalism comes in so many forms: election subversion, draconian abortion restrictions, gun fetishism, anti-LGBTQ scapegoating, and some argue the party is moving towards a new kind of fascism. That raises complicated questions, but one of fascism's key features is the glorification of violence as a domestic political tool. Keep that in mind as you watch this new ad from Eric Greitens, a Missouri Republican running for the U.S. Senate. We're going to play it for you fine folks in just a moment. I'm going to give you a little descriptor, though. With the shotgun in hand and pistol on his belt, Greitens accompanies soldiers busting in what appears to be a suburban home. Then he says to the camera, "Join the MAGA crew. Get a RINO hunting permit. There's no bagging limit, no tagging limit, and it doesn't expire until we save our country." For the uninitiated, RINO is short for Republican in name only, a term that originally referred to Republicans who were too ideologically moderate for someone's taste, but it's now used to refer to those who, no matter how ideologically conservative, are insufficiently worshipful of Donald Trump or question the more radical beliefs and tactics of the extreme wing of the party. Politicians often use martial rhetoric. They talk a lot about fighting and engaging in wars of various types. And even the word campaign originally referred to armies fighting each other. But this is qualitatively different. Greitens is not deploying some subtle metaphor here. You can even order a RINO hunting permit sticker from his website. If asked, I'm sure he would say he's not literally advocating the hunting and killing of human beings, but he kind of is. In case you were unfamiliar with him, Greitens' campaign for Missouri governor 6 years ago featured an ad showing him firing hundreds of rounds with a gigantic machine gun while the narrator said he was under attack from Obama's Democrat machine. Greitens won that election, then resigned amid multiple scandals. The most appalling of them concerned a woman who charged that he coerced her into sex and then blackmailed her. He admitted having an affair, but denied the blackmail accusation. He tied her up and raped her and took photos and blackmailed her with photos.
What a great guy. Can't wait for him to represent people.
Now he's running for Senate, trying to stand out in a field of ultra-conservative candidates. There might be 100 Republicans who fire guns in their ads, many of whom talk about their guns are, a protection against tyranny. In other words, they're ready to use them to kill police officers and military service members. But Greitens is the first to so explicitly say that the members of his own party should be hunted without the slightest hint that it's an exaggeration. And like most nations, the United States is never completely without political violence. It has come with many directions through right-wing violence. It has been more common and more deadly, from the murder of doctors and staff members of abortion clinics to the Oklahoma City bombing. At the moment, we're seeing a rise in widely distributed, low-level acts of violence and intimidation directed at the right's enemies. This will likely escalate. This year has seen a dramatic increase in threats against Pride Month events, which come after a couple of years of near riots at school board meetings and threats against public health officials and election administrators. There is an undeniable connection between what the angry right-wing mob does on the ground and what it sees from the Republican elite. And what do members of the right-wing mob see every day on Fox News and other conservative media outlets? They get a deluge of histrionic outrage and apocalyptic warnings about groomers preparing to abuse their children, about the coming genocidal campaign against white people, about Antifa coming to burn down their towns, about the impending outlawing of gun ownership and Christianity and everything else they hold dear. If you actually believed all of it, violence might seem a reasonable response, just like storming the Capitol might seem reasonable if you believe Donald Trump's lies about the 2020 election. Well, Fancy Brian, there's a little bit more here, but let's save it until after we play the ad, just in case anyone was curious how bad it's getting out there in the world. Here's Eric Greitens, Missouri senatorial candidate. He's hunting rhinos. Let him have it.
I'm Eric Greitens, Navy SEAL, and today we're going rhino hunting. The rhino feeds on corruption and is marked by the stripes of cowardice.
Open the door, roll flash bombs.
Join the MAGA crew. Get a rhino hunting permit. There's no bagging limit, no tagging limit, and it doesn't expire until we save our country.
Eric Greitens, U.S. Senate, 2022.
And that's literally why I get so upset when I hear anyone on the left going, you know what? We need to figure out how to compromise with these folks.
Yeah, it is bothersome. Let me see if I can bring this little article at the Post to conclusion. Trump repeatedly fantasized about acts of violence against liberal protesters and the bloodthirsty cheers of his supporters. Knock the crap out of them, would you? But the fault does not end with him. The rising tide of thuggery is validated and encouraged by Republican office holders who are now devoting an extraordinary amount of attention to scapegoating vulnerable people, especially transgender kids, and echoing the lies and hyperbole of conservative media. Rep. Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, one of the two Republicans serving on the House committee investigating the J6 attack, recently shared a death threat mailed to his wife, saying the two of them and their infant son would be executed. There is violence in the future, he said. When more of it happens, candidates such as Greitens will pretend they had nothing to do with it. They'll say their ugly, violent rhetoric was just figurative, even as they wink and nod to their supporters. They'll claim to be shocked, I tell you, and asked how they could possibly have known anyone would take them seriously. But we should take them seriously. Violence isn't something we're working to discourage. It has become a key part of their rhetoric and their political program. And the worse it gets, the more pleased they'll be. A violent future, something to look forward to. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. I'm just saying they're encouraging it. They're running campaign freaking ads encouraging murder.
Well, look at our gubernatorial candidates. If not Evers, which one of those do you feel comfortable with? Seriously.
Come back with us, the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday edition. Dom joins next. You could also join. Dial us up, 844-967-2789. Crudy going on the road to the third CD, broadcasting from La Crosse all the, I guess it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But until then, more Devil's Advocates. Dom, Fancy Brian in the world headquarters, and your calls could be next. 844-96-HARDY.
For you, pal. They're gonna nail us no matter what we do.
So if you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously.
Hey, this is Rocker, and June is Pride Month. To celebrate, the Dark Horse is featuring the Pride Rocks cocktail. It's Rocker vodka, Edinburgh rhubarb ginger liqueur, lemon, lavender extract, and it's yummy. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Fair Wisconsin, and you can find the Pride Rocks cocktail in June at the Dark Horse and Sal's Tomato Pies on Livingston and in Sun Prairie. You must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
At Chad's Design Build, we care deeply about the quality of the services that we provide to our clients. An excellent remodeling experience requires communication, honesty, accuracy, and a detailed plan, all of which helps to create a satisfied client. And these commitments spell our name. To learn more about the Chad's remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com. Building a better world, one remodeled home at a time, and celebrating 30 years of excellence.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. In some parts of the country, kids 5 and under are starting to get coronavirus shots. The AP's Shelley Adler has the story.
Parents of the younger set have plenty of questions and concerns, like which vaccine should my child get? That answer from White House Virus Response Coordinator, Dr. Shhhhh.
They're both exceedingly safe. They're both effective. If you really, so either one is fine. There's some nuanced, subtle differences, you can talk to your family physician or pediatrician about them.
And what if your child will turn 5 soon?
This is the question I get asked most by my friends who have kids in that age range. What I personally think you should go ahead and get your child vaccinated. If they're right on that cusp, you want to talk to your pediatrician or family physician.
Dr. Shhhh appeared on ABC's Good Morning America. I'm Shelley Adler.
President Biden says he may have a decision this week on a gas tax holiday. It could mean a savings of as much as 18 cents a gallon.
My team is going to be sitting down with the CEOs of the major oil companies this week and try to get an explanation how they justify making $35 billion. in the first quarter.
The president says oil companies need to do more refining. Patrick DeHaan with GasBuddy.com says drivers are getting a price break.
For the first time in 9 weeks, the national average price of gasoline has fallen, decreasing a little over 4 cents a gallon in the last week. More importantly, we're back under the $5 a gallon average that we briefly saw. The national average this morning, $4.97 a gallon.
Police in New York say a college basketball player, 21-year-old Darius Lee from Houston Baptist University in Texas, was shot and killed early this morning at a gathering in Harlem. So far, no arrest. A legislative committee investigating the deadly shooting at a Texas elementary school in Uvalde is set to hear more testimony from law enforcement. The committee is in executive session, blocking the public from hearing witness testimony. This is AP News. As Title IX marks its 50th anniversary this year, a WNBA owner is among the women athletes who have benefited from the law. Ginny Gilder is co-owner of the Seattle Storm. She realized what Title IX means 46 years ago on the Yale University rowing team.
We didn't have showers. So the first thing that started happening as we started doing practices out there was that people started getting sick. And that was when the idea of a protest started to develop.
It set off the Yale Strip In 1976 to protest inequities in the treatment of men and women rowers. It propelled Gilder to become an Olympic silver medalist in rowing. She became an investor and philanthropist, co-owner of her hometown WNBA franchise. Gilder says without Title IX, you would not have the WNBA.
You would not have all the women who get to compete at the Olympic level, at elite levels, whatever sport you're talking.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
From Wanakee to McFarland, 92.7 FM is essential radio to get you through the pandemic.
Devil Radio has been kicking ass, earning every listener, and providing our sponsors return on investment 3 years now on the Madison airwaves. And there has never been a better time than right now to advertise with us and join the Devil Radio community. Our audience is loyal and growing every day. Active listeners that don't flip. Wonder if your ad dollars are working? Devil Radio listeners will tell you it works. Ad production is included. Devil Radio will make it easy for you to start seeing return on your investment. Call today. Summer is now, and it's not too late to make your backyard an oasis. Go Landscaping can create a sanctuary from the world right in your backyard. Stone fireplaces, stone patio, outdoor kitchens, stone is their passion. Hardworking and professional, call Cody. Their dry stone certified mason will help you design and realize your dream this summer. Call Gold Landscaping today at 608-807-9245. Stop dreaming and go love your yard.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
I find your lack of Devil Radio 92.7 disturbing. Do not fail me again.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. According to WisPolitics.com, the cost of the Republican-led state assembly's review of the 2020 election in Wisconsin now exceeds $1 million, despite the Republican-authorized review turning up no evidence of widespread voter fraud close to 1 year after the review began. In all, Republican leaders in the Wisconsin legislature have spent more than $12 million since January of 2019 on private attorneys, ranging from the election review to defending gerrymandered maps. Wisconsin taxpayers will continue to be billed for the election review through at least September amid numerous court cases. The Milwaukee Brewers swept the Cincinnati Reds this weekend to complete their Eastern road trip, winning 4 of their last 5 games. The crew returns to Milwaukee this evening to host the St. Louis Cardinals for a 4-game series. Sunny skies in the forecast today with winds from 10 to 15 miles an hour and a high of 93 degrees. Clear skies expected to continue into the evening with an overnight low of 73 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the post-Father's Day edition, the pre-J6 continuation of live hearings. Got my little buddy by my side. Dominic, how you doing, man?
Hey, Crudy, I'm fantastic. Good to see you. Evan, our fair audience. Happy Monday to us all. It's going to be a huge week. I'm so excited.
Well, it is going to be a very big week, I suspect, on many levels. And you can always be a part of this very big show on many levels. 844-967-2789. I prefer when you call. But Dom, I want to start this out. The January 6th restarts tomorrow high noon, at least Central Time. We're going to play it right here on these radio stations, at least the ones we control. Devil Radio in Madison, the Shaw in Milwaukee, Waukesha. And, the hearings are going to bring more attention on the seditionist conspiracy to violently try to overthrow, through coup d'etat. Try to overthrow the government.
A 7-step plan to overthrow the government.
Well, and Dominic, I would say these hearings have been relatively effective. We've seen some of the numbers. The numbers are going up. Yes. The American people want prosecutions, even, depending on your point of view, sadly, or even 1 in 5 Republicans feel
which
like
is
the
still not
former
enough.
president. No, of course not. 90% of Democrats believe that Trump deserves prosecution. I mean, we're not even done with the hearings.
Well, hell, we're not even halfway done with the hearings. That is a great stat.
Well, Dominic, we've got the Tuesday hearings going off at noon. May affect our lineup, but we'll be live at 3, giving you the post-game coverage. And then Thursday, Dom, we'll do it again. And I'll be checking in from the 3rd CD of the great state of Wisconsin, where the lead Republican was an insurrectionist, Derek Van Orden. And you see the Republicans, they're doing they're launching in Onalaska, which, as you well know, is an outskirt of La Crosse. They're launching an election integrity seminar, scaminar, closed to the media.
You got to pay to get in, close to the media.
Closed to the media, but they're doing it in conjunction, sort of counter programming the Democratic Party convention. So anyways, that's to be looked forward to. I'll be at the convention next Saturday. We'll bring you special coverage right here on Devil Radio and the Shaw. And, Thursday, Dom, post J6 hearing, I'll be talking to you from the 3rd CD where Derek Van Orden, insurrectionist, coup, what do you call him? Coup adjacent, and nominee for the Republican Party for Congress. It's a scary party, Dom. You and I were coming on the air today. We talked about it. It's scary. It's getting scary out there. Violent.
It's getting scarier. Just a quick one here. Mehdi Hassan from MSNBC tweeted out, and I thought it's pertinent. Let me just share briefly, just to put some context to how bat crap crazy this Republican Party is becoming. As Hassan writes, in the past 72 hours, the ex-GOP president has promised to pardon insurrectionists if reelected. A GOP Senate candidate has incited violence in a campaign ad, and the largest state GOP party has rejected Biden's election victory. It is an extremist group now, not a normal party. And I absolutely concur. We've come to this conclusion some time ago that there is no GOP as it was. This is now the fringe has taken over. They are a fringe party. They are an extremist group party. That is exactly what they are.
Dom, I did reference the fact that the Republican Party of the great state of Texas, as part of their party platform pledge, has rejected the 2020 election and gay people, because they also basically made part of their platform that they think being gay is abnormal, and, no place for gays here in the Republican Party. Eric Greitens, I also played that ad.
It is just
RINO hunting season.
Right on right violence, man. And once they take each other out, they're going to come for the rest of us, right? I mean, Kinzinger is out there, the Republican on the J6 committee, one of the two Republicans, saying this violence is going to continue. Did you see the letter that was sent to him and his family?
I was going to go there next.
Oh man, well, we
got a
little,
little,
there, but
coverage
go ahead,
here.
man.
Republican Adam Kinzinger. My party has utterly failed the American people.
Oh, yes.
Let me read. Discussing bomb threats, recently called into his home, Rep. Adam Kinzinger, Republican from Illinois, one of two Republicans in the U.S. House Select Committee on the J6 attack, told ABC's This Week that my party, Republicans, not Crudy's party, Kinzinger's party, has utterly failed the American people at truth. Yes, they have. It makes me sad, but it's a fact. Kinzinger's comment came as This Week host George Stephanopoulos asked Kinzinger why, in a recent poll, only 20% of Republicans said that the former President Donald Trump should be prosecuted for his role in inciting the Capitol riots. The same poll found that 90% of Democrats and 60% of all American voters felt that Trump should be prosecuted. Well, that's a filibuster-proof majority right there, Don. It is leadership, lack of leadership in the Republican Party, Kinzinger explained. And we've got some sound we're going to play for you, our fair audience. Stay put. If you have people that you don't trust what they hear on the media, and they don't trust what they hear from certain leaders, everybody has people they trust and where they get their information. The whole segment of leaders that Republican voters trust. If you're going to stand up to these people and lie to him and tell him Donald Trump's right, the election was stolen, we could have no doubt that 80% of the country is going to believe what their leaders are saying. Well, I don't believe it. I mean, if Joe Biden had lost in the Electoral College and Joe Biden was out there screaming, rigged election, I'd have said, no, I don't believe you, Joe.
Exactly.
A little bit more from him. I've never seen or had anything like that, he added. It was sent from the local area. The bomb threat against him, his wife, and the 5-month-old child. He also said he expects threats of violence to increase leading into the 2024 presidential as Trump supporters have gained control of political positions that will enable them to contest or sabotage the next election's results. We've got some sound of Kinzinger. Going to need your help, Evan, here. Let's play it for the people. Cut number 10, Rep. Kinzinger from Illinois, talking about the topic of the J6.
In an American democracy, how we've been raised to believe, how we were formed. If you truly believe the deep state owned the election and the democracy was stolen and the election was stolen, that's the most logical outcome.
We use this courtesy of ABC. More from Kinzinger. Cut 11, please.
If you're going to stand in front of those people and lie to them and tell them Donald Trump's right, the election was stolen, because that has you give me $20 when I send you the next email, or it's way easier for my primary election, we can have no doubt that 80% of the country is going to believe what their leaders are saying.
So, Dominic, do you think this financial component is going to play a bigger role as the J6 goes on, and perhaps the prosecutions as well? Because that's just pure fraud.
Yeah,
you can say you won,
absolutely,
but you can't fundraise on a fraudulent premise.
$250 million, at least $250 million that Trump has fraudulently obtained. Yes, I think that should absolutely be a part of it. How could it not be? There's so many tentacles to the wrongdoing of Donald Trump, and literally everything he touches turns to crap.
$250 million worth of self-dealing. That's a lot of self-dealing. More of Adam Kinzinger. My party fails at truth. Cut 12.
If you're not willing to tell people the truth in America, you shouldn't run for Congress. Like go do something else. But this should be a position where you can tell the hard truth. And unfortunately, my party has utterly failed the American people at truth.
Yes, they have. Have you listened to any of the righty-whitey talk radio hosts of late, or maybe the Fox News commentators? They are creating their own truthiness, their own environment, their own
they are
ecosystem.
predisposed to it. You know, I mean, if you look, in my opinion, of some of these, you know, hard right Christian nationalist types, when they get their hard right Christian nationalist Congress folks telling them these lies, it is. I mean, look at the grift, man. It's an easy mark. People, $250 million. And you still support the man, you are an easy mark. And in some respects, you kind of don't blame Trump. All you got to do is hit send on an email and they send you money. But there are true repercussions. People are dying and we're fighting now for our democracy.
Let's not forget, 80% of Republicans don't think Trump should be prosecuted. Just 20% do. Cut lucky 13 if you would, Evan. Adam Kinzinger.
How do I explain it? Is leadership, lack of leadership in the Republican Party.
More from Kinzinger. Cut 14, please.
This threat that came in, it was mailed to my house. We got it a couple days ago, and it threatens to execute me as well as my wife and 5-month-old child.
And the GOP lies, they're inspiring violence. More from Kinzinger. Cut 15, please.
There is violence in the future, I'm going to tell you. And until we get a grip on telling people the truth, we can't expect any differently.
Let's sneak at least one more in here. Evan, cut 16, please.
2024 is going to be a mess. And wake up, America. Wake up, Republicans, because this is not going to be good for you if you think it is.
You know, Adam Kinzinger is going to, be the closer for the J6 hearings, my understanding. He's going to be the guy that does the final presentation, prime time. Now, they haven't told us when that one will play out. But the J6 hearings, they recommence tomorrow at noon Central Time. History playing out on the radio. Of course, you can stream it or whatever, but we prefer when you play it on the radio, right here on Devil Radio and the Shhhh. And we've got some more sound of Kinzinger. And perhaps some regrets. Maybe strategically, the Republicans F this one up. Bad.
No regrets, baby. No regrets.
Come back with us. Devil's Advocates Radio Show. You know, we do nothing but tell the truth. It's always the truth. Nothing but the truth. You can't even handle the truth. Well, talking to you, Big Ugly, and a few of our conservative friends. More Devil's Advocates talking to all of you. Join us on the phone. Dial us up. 844-967-2789.
He's rounding first, second, third. He stopped between third and home. What the heck?
Ooh, that's not the time to stop. And now's not the time to stop wearing a mask. Vaccines are a game changer, but the game's not over. Mask up until you're vaccinated. Let's finish strong. For more information, please visit cdc.gov/masks. A message by CDC and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
I've been invited on Fox News. I accepted. We're going to take your favorite ideas for burning it down. Alan from Madison, what do you got for us?
At the end of the show, you should tell them you've got a new logo for Fox News. What you do is stand up, drop your drawers, turn around, and Fox is on one cheek, news is on the other, and below you have We Fill the Void.
You know, I don't know if I got that kind of courage, Alan, but I love how you think, man.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Your calls always welcome here. 844-967-2789.
A bad decision. See, Donald Trump's kind of feeling some pressure, apparently, taking her out on Kevin McCarthy.
Oh, he's taking it out on everybody. It's everybody else's fault, of course, but his own.
Let me read from the reporting of Brad Reed, please. Former President Donald Trump is not pleased with how the House Select Committee hearing investigating the J6 attacker playing out. And he implicitly called out House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy for them on Monday. It's McCarthy's fault. It's his fault. In an interview with right-wing talk show host Wade Allen Root, Trump praised great warriors in the GOP House, such as Reps Jim Jordan and Jim Banks, and bemoaned the fact that they weren't getting equal time at the House Select Committee. You know, why didn't they get their own TV show? Because remember the impeachment, man, what a show, a circus, a sideshow that became. Because you couldn't get any flow. You couldn't get the presentation of the facts because they'd alternate. You know, they do the Dems, they do the Republicans, and the American people were purposefully obfuscated by these Republicans. And now they don't have the opportunity. The only Republicans on this panel are the aforementioned Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. And I hate to seem too fawning over Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger, but they are humans of character, at least on this topic. And the entire rest of their party, less so. Anyways,
that's a very polite way to put it. Less so.
Unfortunately, a bad decision was made, Trump said. This committee was a bad decision not to have representation on this committee. That was a very, very foolish decision. In other words, you got no cover fire out there in the public, right? They're just hearing the unvarnished truth. And it's 60% of the American people wanting to prosecute the former president
right now.
Those don't seem like re-elective numbers, do they? I mean, you could say Joe Biden's numbers are down, but other than a few of the crazy let's go Brandon sorts, people don't want to throw Joe Biden in prison, do they?
Well, the Republicans do. They want to find a reason because, of course, their guy is a criminal, and they thought, you know, how they project onto everyone else. A little bit more here. Originally, Democrats agreed to Republican demands to form a committee to investigate the Trump-incited riots using only people that were not currently serving in Congress. However, even though this compromise passed the House with bipartisan support, it faced opposition from McCarthy, who lobbied against it before McConnell successfully filibustered it in the Senate. That was what led Speaker Pelosi to take a unilateral action to form a committee that features Democrats and 2 Republicans who voted in favor of Trump's second impeachment. So, I mean, he's going off the rails, right? I mean, after his 12-page manifesto last week, he continues to rail against members of the MAGA crowd, his own MAGA, man. And then you see what's going on. You see the Greitens ad, you know, going after the RINOs. It is right on right violence. This is what they're into. They're eating each other alive.
See, I wish I could be more gleeful about that. I wish they would get a circle. What is that? A circle firing squad. all aim inward and start pulling the trigger. When you look at the polling of the American people, and maybe it's the quote unquote mainstream media. I mean, how you look past the insurrectionist Republican Party, the anti-gay Republican Party, the anti-truth Republican Party, and just say, well, you know, voters
the anti-republic Republican Party, the anti-democratic Republican Party.
Well, if you're going to hold them to that standard, whole constitutionality and all that stuff, Tom. But why doesn't the press? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How does the press? We talk about this. You know, we tell our truth. We try to every day. But how doesn't, you know, the mainstream media, how don't they say these Republicans are trying to steal your democracy? American people, maybe enough is enough. I mean, why hasn't Brett Baer said that on Fox News? Just wondering. I bet they pay him well.
The comparison and, you know, treating on equal terms and equal grounds the 2 main political parties in this country, I think that's long been gone. I mean, the Republicans are a fringe party. Look at what they are saying. Look at what they are doing. That's not mainstream Republican. Hell, I mean, former Speaker Paul Ryan, we hear the ads all the time. Trump lost the election. Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, hopefully he gets his ass out on the rail. He said it too. The math was there. Trump knew it. Trump told staffers, can you believe I lost to this guy? They all knew they lost. And yet they went forward with this plan to overthrow the government because Trump wanted to remain president. It's really that simple. And when most of your party goes along with an insurrectionist coup and people die, and then they try to shield themselves from an investigation, and you have the Supreme Court of the United States, Mr. Ginny Thomas, involved in this. I mean, it is deep, it is penetrating, and it is not worthy of equal coverage. I mean, to talk about, Bernie Sanders coming to Wisconsin and supporting, labor rights on a strike. I mean, that's normal stuff. When you have a Republican candidate, out on the campaign trail telling people to get their RINO license and go shoot some rhinos, that's not equal footing. That's not equal par. It's not even the same game.
You had me with deep and penetrating.
We have a little more sound from Kinzinger. Can we probably maybe wrap some of that up here? Oh, damn it. Maybe we'll come back and hit some more. Getting run out of time, man. I got to stop ranting. But the media, listen, media certainly bears some responsibility for it. Everyone wanted, Trump's ratings, right? Trump's going to say something.
He's the ratings machine.
People love it when we play that moron. Let's see what he has to say today. Oh, okay. Well, now you cash those checks, CNN and MSNBC and everybody else. Everybody got paid, right? Well, now look at where we're at. And at some point, maybe the media should stand up and stop with this whataboutism and equal parties. That's not the case. There's one party that is specifically, actively still trying to overturn the election, still lying to the people and inciting violence, not only amongst the general population, but amongst their own GOP membership. I mean, that's not the same. Start calling them out on it.
Aren't you opinionated?
You know it.
Come back with us, Devil's Advocates. Your strongly held opinions, they're welcome here at 844-967-2789.
Oh, Devil Radio. Good thing I brought my horns.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Listen to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for progressive news talk radio. Tune in for the political party that is the Devil's Advocates radio show every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Join Native Roots Radio from 6 to 7 p.m. for updates about Native news, culture, and activism. The 7 o'clock hour is for local programming, including the Paul Revere Show on Mondays, Busted Pencils on Tuesdays, and the Up North podcast on Wednesdays.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden says a decision on a gas tax holiday may come this week. It could mean savings of as much as 18 cents a gallon. The president told reporters in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, he'll look over the data and aides will talk to oil company CEOs.
The problem is what they've done is they've cut back on refining. And they say because they don't want to get caught in a position where eventually they're going to move to alternative energy, renewable energy, and they don't want to get stuck.
Taxes on gasoline and diesel fuel help pay for highways. In a speech in Chicago, former Vice President Mike Pence made a brief mention of the Capitol riot, saying Americans have been through a lot over the last several years.
A global pandemic, social unrest, a divisive election, a tragic day in our nation's capital, and an administration seemingly every day driving our economy into the abyss of a socialist welfare state.
Members of the House committee investigating the Capitol riot say they may subpoena Mike Pence. Israel's weakened coalition government announced it would dissolve parliament and call for new elections, possibly in October or November. Her wife tells the AP WNBA star Brittany Griner tried to call her nearly a dozen times through the American embassy in Russia on the couple's 4th anniversary Saturday, but they never connected since the phone line at the embassy was not staffed. Sherelle Griner says the couple has not spoken by phone in the 4 months since Griner's arrest in Russia on drug-related charges. She suspects Russia thwarted the call. A taxi cab turning onto a narrow section of Broadway hit a bicyclist in New York, then swerved onto a Manhattan sidewalk and into a group of pedestrians, critically injuring 3 people. Wall Street closed for the Juneteenth holiday. This is AP News.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. The 7-day average of daily COVID-19 cases decreased to less than 1,400 cases a day last Friday, although average cases are still higher than levels in early May, according to the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. The Madison Police Department has arrested 4 people in connection to at least one of the attacks that have been taking place in downtown Madison and on UW-Madison's campus over the past 2 weeks. A spokesperson for the Madison Police stated the department believes the suspects were involved in earlier attacks, but do not believe the attacks are racially motivated, despite several of the victims of the attacks have been Asian. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul stated in an interview over the weekend that the State Department of Justice promises to use, quote, whatever legal processes, end quote, available to review claims of clergy abuse, after advocates for survivors suggest the DOJ is not holding religious institutions accountable for the reported abuses. You're listening to Devil Radio.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but the show is kind of a big deal.
No joke. Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday edition. And within the week, Dominic, a lot of rulings coming down from the U.S. Supreme Court, including perhaps the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Hasn't been on the front page, the front burner, if you will, for the last month or so. But I know there are specific steps being taken right here in the state of Wisconsin. Planned Parenthood is no longer scheduling abortive care procedures beyond this weekend. Because come Monday next, the law of the land, or at least the presumption, would be what? We revert back to a 1849 law here in the state of Wisconsin, banning basically all abortions.
Yeah, GOP taking us back to the good old days.
And then tomorrow, Dom, the J6 hearings. Tomorrow is going to be the most painful for Donald Trump to watch because, Lordy, there's all kinds of tapes. It's rap and perjure, right? They're doing live testimony. We're going to play it out live at noon Central Time tomorrow. Got a little bit of coverage here, and then we'll take the calls at 844-967-2789. CNN says the House Select Committee investigating the J6 riot is set to hear live testimony from 4 witnesses during Tuesday's hearing that will focus on how former President Donald Trump and his allies pressured state-level officials to overturn the 2020 election. The committee will also show evidence that Trump was involved in a scheme, I tell you, Dom, to submit a false or fake slate of electors in the 2020 presidential election campaign. Now, we've been watching and waiting patiently as Farouk Assault can be, waiting for our day to find out why that's permissible and why charges haven't been leveled against the 10 here in the state of Wisconsin that, committed that very fraud. Adam Schiff's going to be the star going forward, at least tomorrow, Dom. Rep. Adam Schiff, a California Democrat, member of the panel, who is expected to play a leading role in the presentation. Apparently, they said Sunday. The witness list for Tuesday's hearings includes 3 individuals from Georgia: Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, his deputy Gabe Sterling, and former election worker Wandre Shea Moss. Rusty Bowers, a Republican who is the Arizona House Speaker, is also scheduled to testify. The committee formally announced Monday. So big hearings tomorrow. I think Rudy And Mark Meadows apparently going to play a prominent role in these discussions.
I can't wait. This is and again, this
just find me 11,780 votes, Brad. And if you don't,
tape came out, how was Trump not arrested immediately? I mean, if you're telling me to find you votes, find me votes, find me votes.
And if you don't, you could be prosecuted. Right?
Right. That'd be very bad for you.
So anyways, that was what? January 5th. That was the day before the insurrection. That's when the special election was held. That was Tuesday. Come Wednesday, riot time, party style, right? Trump and the crew, they all took up to the Capitol, because they had a bigger plan afoot.
Well, and I'm anxious to see what the J6 committee has uncovered with regards to these fraudulent fake electors in this scheme, because lots of the documentation looked like it was pretty much boilerplate cut and pasted from other states here in Wisconsin and other states that were involved in this scheme. And to what degree and to whom was the White House, who are they speaking to, and who are the conduits, and who in the state of Wisconsin, I really want to know, picked up that phone call and said, yes, this is a great idea. Let's do our part to put one little effort to help overturn democracy in the state, in this country. We want to do our part, the GOP said, and then they did.
If I understand the reporting, at least, locally here in the state of Wisconsin, it was Jim Troupis, who was a Trump attorney and also prior a Scott Walker attorney. And Troupis apparently was called by what? Greg Cheesebro, the Wisconsinite. Cheesebro called and put forth this fake electoral plan. That is our understanding. And it was adopted by everyone from the party chair, Andrew Hitt, to Wisconsin Election Commissioner Bob Spindell, and of course, Kelly Rowe. And Rowe and Hitt have been subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. One must assume they've given closed-door testimony by now. Do you think they'll be featured tomorrow?
I certainly hope so. I expect Wisconsin to be featured prominently tomorrow. At least that's my hope.
Now, Spindell reported in the Journal Sentinel, in the paper of record here in the state of Wisconsin, reportedly said they were approached by Trump campaign officials. Kept saying that over and over again. And I always thought that's pretty incriminating stuff you're saying, but you keep telling your story, your truth if you need to, Bob. But effectively, Bob Spindell, the elections commissioner here in the state of Wisconsin, the fraudulent fake Trump elector, said we only did it because the campaign called us, and one must assume that's Cheesebro through Troupis with the side of Rudy Giuliani, a little Eastman for good measure.
Eastman's still on the case.
And, the consultation of Steve Bannon.
Because, I mean, come on.
And Roger Stone,
the judgment of the Republicans that went along with this, right? You can't hide.
There is no team normal, Dom.
Come on, man. So they just went along. I mean, did you know this was a fraudulent idea? Did you know this was potentially
everybody knew?
Did you know that you were going to
freaking Dan Quayle knew? Everybody knew.
If Dan Quayle knows, everybody knows. We have just a little bit more sound. I want to throw this out there from the Republican Nick Kinzinger. Then we'll get to the callers. We promise 844-967-2789. Cut number 17, Evan, is Trump criminally liable?
We're not a criminal charges committee, so I want to be careful in specifically using that language. But I think what we're presenting before the American people certainly would rise to a level of criminal involvement by a president, and definitely failure of the oath. The oath has to matter here.
That's a quaint thought, Kinzinger. People believe Trump. Cut 18, please.
So many people charge the Capitol because honestly, they believed that the election was stolen.
Yeah, because that's what Trump continues to say.
To this day. And did you note some of his speeches over the weekend? He's thrown in there his defense. I believed then, I believe it now. So he's trying to reinforce the I believe this was stolen thing. I believe.
Specific aides that gave testimony that said that Donald Trump acknowledged he did not believe.
Yes, that's true. But he's still trying to work on his
damning. That's called evidence.
That's going to be, he's still working on his defense. See, that's when he's coming out saying these things. He thinks he's doing himself some favors by
working on material in front of the crowd.
State of mind. That's what he does, man. That's all he does. He tries it out. and Mexico's going to pay for it. Just a couple more from Rep. Kinzinger, Republican J6 committee member. Let's do cut 19, the rot.
This attack on January 6th is unprecedented, and the rot that led up to it is also unprecedented. It is essential at this moment that we get a grip on this and figure out how to defend our democracy.
And that is ultimately the point. And I know, people want to see, criminal charges that they're not, as he's mentioned, that's not what they do. What we do need to do is button down our electoral systems and make sure that we are not vulnerable to some wackadoodles who actually got way too closer than they ever should have to overthrowing this government.
Well, they were only 40 feet away from Mike Pence. The riot, the ones that wanted to hang Mike Pence were only 40 feet away from Mike Pence.
No, if they hung Mike Pence, okay, if that did happen, I mean, thankfully we didn't have to see what the next steps would have been. But if Mike Pence was hanging from the gallows, the show must go on. Someone else will step up. I guess it'd be Pelosi. I'm not sure who would be the next, the president of the Senate, right? Wasn't that what the part of the plan? That'd be Chuck Grassley. He was involved in this as well. Let's not digress. A couple more comparing this to Watergate. Kinzinger, cut 20, please.
We're in a way worse position, I think, today. And I think this blows actually Watergate, out of the water.
Yeah, no one died due to Watergate.
It's not even close. And especially the level of conspiracy that went into this, it's not even close. Understatement of the year, Rep. Adam Kinzinger. Trump knows what he did. Cut 21, please, Evan.
I certainly think the president is guilty of knowing what he did, seditious conspiracy, being involved in these kind of different segments of pressuring DOJ, vice president, et cetera.
Yeah. And there's just so much more. So what's going on at the Pentagon, man? This Christopher Miller thing and Mike Flynn's brother being in the room and the Army lying about it 3 times. And now he's been promoted at the Pentagon. I mean, there are just so many unanswered questions that I have. I don't see how this committee can wrap up their investigation anytime soon.
Well, Dom, that's why you got to tune in tomorrow, starting at high noon right here on Devil Radio in the Shhhh. Or you can call us right now, offer your opinions at 844-967-2789. Be like Mark from the SAC. Welcome back, Mark. What do you got?
Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys. I find it kind of amusing, some of the stuff, or bemusing, I should say, rather than amusing, that the whole threats against Adam Kinzinger it removes a whole lot of the humorous aspects of this whole thing, that this is going along with the threats the other Republicans are making, about hunting people down. And I mean, it's just remarkable that, these Republicans are worried about what kids might learn in school as far as, past injustices and race relations, yet they have no problem with that kind of language going on. And it's just kind of how far and like Kinzinger said, how far his party has fallen.
I don't think there's any redemption left for them, Mark. I don't know that the Republican Party will survive in any form that it is currently in. Thanks for the call, man. I always appreciate your insights. I just don't see that happening. 844-967-2789. Dick from Madison, you are next. Welcome, sir. What do you got for us?
Hey, Dick.
Well, Crude, I agree with something you said earlier about,
what I say, it must have been smart.
Yeah, it was. The Justice Department, from what I understand, it had one of the things they could charge them with is conspiracy to defraud the United States of America. And I'm reading that in that conspiracy, it requires 2 or more people to agree to. Yes, check. You got it. You already brought them up. You got Rudy, who drank the 5th, Eastman, who pleaded the 5th 100 times, and all kinds of other people. Roger Stone's involved in this. I mean, this should be a slam dunk. And if it isn't, heaven help this country, because it just proves that there is 2 sets of laws. I mean, come on here. This is just an absolute.
Careful.
Yeah, be careful is right. But seriously, think about it. You got Eastman, you got Rudy, you got all these players, 2 or more. You probably got at least 10.
And that's before you get to Republican state lawmakers, Republican Congress people, Republican
and you can't forget
senators,
Jenny Thomas and her crew and her
Mark
Facebook
Meadows,
page. I mean, it's
Jared.
we're just unpacking the stuff with Ginny Thomas. I mean,
and that's before you get to the pardon list, Dick.
Right. Oh, yeah. How about that? Oh, well, I thought this was a great idea, Eastman. But, can I get on the pardon list?
You know, if there's a pardon list, I would also like to be put firmly on the pardon list. Dick, I don't think that's bad advice. You know, if someone's offering a pardon,
No, I'd like
you
to
take
do.
a pardon.
Yes. I would like a blanket pardon myself, but for crying out loud, these are a little higher crimes than I committed or you.
Well, speak for yourself, Dick. Appreciate the call.
We'll see what happens.
844-967-2789. CJ, welcome back.
Hey, CJ.
Hi there, guys. Thanks for taking my call. And I do mean that. But, you know, as you and your party fantasize about Donald Trump and January
Trump
6th,
fantasizes about his daughter, I hear.
well, that's another distraction that you would rather focus on, I guess. But
we're not talking about inflation or Afghanistan today, CJ.
Fed raised the interest rate 0.75%, first time in 30 years, and our national security. And, you know, as 239,000 snuck in last month, there's 50 plus terrorist watch list candidates. The party's watching this. You guys are worried about
terrorist watch list candidates. Your party doesn't even want red flag laws. They'd give the terrorists AR-15s as soon as they got off the airplane, as long as they were white.
Your GOP senatorial candidate just put out a campaign ad threatening to hunt down rhinos, CJ. I'd be a little concerned more about the domestic terrorism if I were you.
More devils. We'll be back.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzz warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
What is dedication? The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job. That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
The Republican Party on a national level, how many years did they investigate Hillary and Bill? They're still going to that.
They're still looking for emails, right? But they don't look in the Trump septic tank for half the top secret classified documents that he was flushing during his term. When one party doesn't care about governing, just don't allow anything to happen when the Democrats are in charge. And then they think the American people are going to get boonswoggled and vote Republican again.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi there, I'm Kirk Bankstad and I own the Monaco Brewing Company. And I also have a super PAC. We make good trouble in the North Woods of Wisconsin. You can support our efforts at the MonacoBrewingCompany.com and buy our Wove gear like t-shirts, hoodies, and trucker hats. Enter the code RADIO and get 10% off on your next purchase. A portion of all sales support the Monaco Brewing Company super PAC, which is dark money meant for good. That's the MonacoBrewingCompany.com.
Social media? You've kept up with the times. If you can do that, you can definitely save for retirement. Go to aceyourretirement.org and in just 3 minutes, you'll get free tips to help boost your retirement savings. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are always open for our fair audience. Join us toll free 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I've got at least a smidge of evidence that the January 6 hearings are starting to have some modest impact because they've turned Madison Cawthorn against the former president. It's pretty bad. Madison Cawthorn,
yeah.
Soon to be former congressman, Madison Cawthorn.
Disgraced Madison Cawthorn, that guy.
Coke-fueled orgy, Madison Cawthorn guy. Let me read briefly. As they call him, disgraced outgoing Rep. Madison Cawthorn,
yes,
Republican from North Carolina, has blamed former President Donald Trump for creating a dangerous setting outside the U.S. Capitol during the January 6, 2021 riots. You think? In his recent interview on the Carlos Watson Show, the show's host asked Cawthorn if there was anything he would have done differently when he spoke at Trump's Stop the Steal rally in D.C. the morning before the riots began. Here's the quote. Well, President Trump said, I want you to peaceably and patriotically protest. That's good on his part. But if I could go back, I had an opportunity to speak with the president, which I did not. I would have asked that he not send or tell the crowd to go to the Capitol. I think that just put everything in a dangerous setting. Tom, later on in the interview, Cawthorn said that if he could go back and change his own speech at the rally, he would have urged Trump's followers to be more peaceful. Is this a regret, like I'm soon to be criminally charged kind of regret, or what kind of regret you think this is?
Well, and I wonder how much he actually is digesting from the testimony. And my understanding is that Trump was still speaking when the Proud Boys were already trying to get into the building. This was not a, hey, let's go rally and something that just got out of hand, as Trump has again also lied about.
Biggest rally ever
over the weekend.
Biggest free speech action ever. Is beautiful. It's beautiful. Now, Dom, the less beautiful part, 5 people died during the January 6, 2021. And Trump supporters injured roughly 140 police officers. The police injuries included a broken spine, a lost eye, lost fingers, brain damage, and multiple cases of PTSD. 4 Capitol police officers have died by suicide since the riots. And the rioters ransacked the Capitol, shattered windows while trying to access congressional chambers, smeared feces in the hallway, stole computer equipment, potentially constituting a national security breach, or as Cawthorn would say, party kind of got out of hand.
Just a little bit out of hand.
It's not a party till something gets broken or spreads feces in the U.S. Capitol, right? That's not a party till then.
Terrible. What? Really? What is going through your head when you decide that you're going to take a crap on the floor and wipe it all over the walls? What? Yeah, very good people on all sides. This was a planned attack on the Capitol. There was coordination between Trump and the Proud Boys, and I still haven't heard Roger Stone. There's still some gaps, still some holes that I'm not clear on, but I have no doubt that Trump has been involved in every level of this. He's kind of a control freak based on my understanding of how he's conducted his businesses over the years. So as more and more information comes out, I fully expect that 60% of the population who think that he should be prosecuted for what we now know, I can't imagine that we are even halfway to the point of knowing all the facts. Maybe 15, 20% of the way of knowing all the facts, all the details.
Did you have a nice Father's Day, buddy?
I did. Yes. Thank you. How about you?
Oh, it was great. I took my father-in-law and my brother-in-law golfing and had dinner with the kids last night. At least those two still living at the house. But, I think I would say, all things considered, I probably had a better Father's Day than Herschel Walker, U.S. senatorial candidate from Georgia.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, kind of like my DNA daddy, which I didn't know existed until very, very recently. Apparently, Herschel Walker had to make some announcements this weekend. He's got something like 4 illegitimate children. 4 and counting. And that's what he'll admit to. So let me read just a little bit from the Politico, because it wouldn't be a big deal. I don't care how, you can be
right. No, exactly.
Nick Cannon if you want to be. I don't care how many kids you have. He's got the means. He can probably take care of his own kids financially, although some of the women apparently had to sue him for child support. But this guy has made such a campaign issue about absentee fathers.
Right.
And he is an absentee father.
Of course he is. That's how they do it. What is my worst trait? What am I so obviously flawed in? And I'm going to accuse my other opponents of the very same thing. That's how they roll, man.
Well, Dominic, not only that, but if, you got lots of sinning under your belt, well, go out before the evangelicals and confess, and all will be absolved. Let me read a little from the reporting at Politico. Nashville, Dateline Nashville. Herschel Walker received resounding applause from the evangelical Christian activist on Saturday following revelations he had fathered 3 children he had not previously discussed publicly. So I got like 3 more kids. Happy Father's Day to me. The half full room of conference scores at the Faith and Freedom Coalition's annual gathering in Nashville went wild for Walker, perhaps the most high profile Republican Senate candidate this cycle, running in one of the most contested races. In an onstage interview with Walker, Faith and Freedom founder Ralph Reed addressed the recent barrage of news stories by saying Democrats and the media were firing artillery at the candidate. Walker in turn said he loves and has never denied any of his children before accusing unnamed forces of trying to mislead his family members. They didn't do anything but make me want to fight harder because I'm tired of people misleading the American people. I'm tired of people misleading my family. From there, Walker quickly pivoted to the need for America to become energy independent and decried those trying to confuse people with racism over here and the Build Back Better plan over here. The reception Walker received at the conference is an early indication that the self-identified religious conservatives will give him a pass for his biographical detail at odds with their stated mission. Talking about a generosity of language, right? The guy's a total hypocritical Christian, but they're going to give him a pass.
Yeah, right. But that Mike Pence, he didn't show up for the Faith and Freedom this year because, of course, he's Mike Pence and Donald Trump hates him.
Well, Dominic, the former Heisman Trophy winner, stands accused of hiding from the public 3 children that he had with multiple women outside of his marriage. And both Walker and his oldest son, Christian Walker, have been critical of absent fathers. The Daily Beast reported that at least one of the mothers of Walker's unacknowledged children had to take legal action to receive child support payments.
Doesn't seem like he was involved in that particular case, and then they had to go to court to make sure he was involved. So I can see why this would be an issue for him.
Now he's going up against a pastor, Raphael Warnock. He's on the ballot. That was a special election. And Herschel Walker, he's your Republican nominee.
Wow.
Lots of kids celebrating that. Happy Father's Day indeed. Come back. More Devil's Advocates, the happier happy hour. We're rolling into it next.
You are the father.
When we built the Devil Radio World Headquarters in Madison, it was filthy with construction dust, a real mess. I called Magnific Cleaning Services and they made it shine. A few days later, we moved in and created a whole new mess. Magnific Cleaning Services made it shine again. Now Magnific Cleaning Services is the only cleaners I trust with the keys to my company. They clean Devil Radio affordably and with great attention to detail. Find them online at magnificservice.com for a free estimate. Tell them Devil Radio sent you. Listen to your favorite political talkers no matter where you are. 92.7 FM in Madison and Eastern Dade County, 1580 AM Columbus, north of Madison, and for daytime east-west commutes on I-94, 101 FM in the Shaw, and 540 AM covering eastern Wisconsin all day and covering the Milwaukee Metro, the Wild Counties, Racine, and Kenosha 24/7. Download the free Devil Radio app for your smartphone and take both stations with you everywhere. No excuses, just listen.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden says a decision on a gas tax holiday may come this week. It could mean savings of as much as 18 cents a gallon. The president told reporters in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, he'll look over the data and aides will talk to oil company CEOs.
The problem is what they've done is they've cut back on refining. And they say because they don't want to get caught in a position where eventually they're going to move to alternative energy, renewable energy, and they don't want to get stuck.
Taxes on gasoline and diesel fuel help pay for highways. In a speech in Chicago, former Vice President Mike Pence made a brief mention of the Capitol riot, saying Americans have been through a lot over the last several years.
A global pandemic, social unrest, a divisive election, a tragic day in our nation's capital, and an administration seemingly every day driving our economy into the abyss of a socialist welfare state.
Members of the House committee investigating the Capitol riot say they may subpoena Mike Pence. Israel's weakened coalition government announced it would dissolve parliament and call for new elections, possibly in October or November. Her wife tells the AP WNBA star Brittany Griner tried to call her nearly a dozen times through the American embassy in Russia on the couple's 4th anniversary Saturday, but they never connected since the phone line at the embassy was not staffed. Sherelle Griner says the couple has not spoken by phone in the 4 months since Griner's arrest in Russia on drug-related charges. She suspects Russia thwarted the call. A taxi cab turning onto a narrow section of Broadway hit a bicyclist in New York, then swerved onto a Manhattan sidewalk and into a group of pedestrians, critically injuring 3 people. Wall Street closed for the Juneteenth holiday. This is AP News. France is dealing with the aftermath of an election that did not produce a straight majority for the president.
Emmanuel Macron was reelected in May, but many French voters in Sunday's parliamentary election opted for far-right or far-left candidates, depriving the president's centrist group of 44 seats he needed to secure an absolute majority and implement his agenda without bargaining. The leftist coalition secured 131 seats, while Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally got 89 seats. Le Pen described Macron as a minority president and her party's extraordinary surge as a seismic event. Ipsos France political analyst Brice Tenturier describes the results as the desire of the French people to rebalance the presidential election and impose some constraints on Macron. I'm Jennifer King.
Hong Kong's iconic jumbo floating restaurant has capsized in the South China Sea less than a week after it was towed away from the city. No one was injured. Efforts to save the vessel failed. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
Something you probably do know.
Stay informed with progressive news and talk on Double Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, Wanakee's choice for essential radio.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Hey, this is Rocker, and I'm touching down at the Red Rooster to kick off summer with some live music and a Rocker lemonade. House-made lemonade, a splash of sour cherry, and your choice of Rocker vodka or Rocker rye whiskey. Kick the summer off at the Red Rooster with a Rocker cocktail. Find the Red Rooster at 2513 Seaforth Road or online at redroostermadison.com. You must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio app.
Devil Radio 92.7 FM, covering all the malarkey you can handle.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. The city of Milwaukee celebrated its 51st annual Juneteenth Festival yesterday, marking one of the longest-running Juneteenth celebrations in the country. Milwaukee was one of the first northern cities to host Juneteenth celebrations for the event on June 19, 1865, when Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, sharing the news that the war was over and all enslaved persons were freed. Today marks the first time Juneteenth is being observed as a federal U.S. holiday. On Friday, Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin said they will not be scheduling any abortion services beyond June 25th in anticipation of the United States Supreme Court overturning nearly 50 years of legal precedent in the landmark court case Roe v. Wade as soon as this week. Sunny skies in the forecast today with winds from 10 to 15 miles an hour and a high of 93 degrees. Clear skies expected to continue into the evening with an overnight low of 73 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, rolling into the happier Monday, 5 o'clock happy hour. Always happy. And I got my little buddy here doing a little political commentary on the radio. Got Evan with us in the world headquarters, lightly screening the calls at 844-967-2789. And topically, Dom, coming back in hour 2 here. I wanted to talk about Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
Well, they are the front runners, if you believe in such things, for the Republican field. Let me see if I can get this one started, buddy. Can Ron DeSantis displace Donald Trump as the GOP's combatant in chief? He fights everybody, right, Dom? No, I thought I had a little bit of an issue, with most people, mostly yourself, but DeSantis is
I know,
way
but
beyond.
Donald Trump showed them the way. And if you behave the way that Donald Trump has behaved and so far not had any real consequence to it, and actually put a $250 million in your pocket. I mean, maybe you lose an election, maybe you get indicted eventually, but in the meantime, you have one hell of a time. And now everyone, including DeSantis, all the way down to your Republican dog catcher, are trying to imitate him.
Well, to give you the abbreviated version, the longer version is long, seems quite long. So here's the abbreviated version. Speaking to the New Yorker in a story published today, former President Donald Trump said he thinks he could beat Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in a potential 2024 matchup. Of course he does. Of course he does. I have predicted them when, not if, but when Donald Trump announces he's running for president, he'll do so in Florida. A little bit more. I don't know if Ron is running. I don't ask him. It's his prerogative. I think I would win. You ever hear Trump think he would lose? Ever?
Yeah, he actually said it to a staffer who was on the talk shows over the weekend, admitting, can you believe I lost to this guy? Yeah, he knows he lost.
Does he think he lost? I'm not clear. Did he lose? Do you think he lost?
Not according to the Texas GOP, he didn't.
Anyways, I've lost the article, Dom. So apparently I'm the big loser. No, I've got the article. I'll bring it back. I'll get my what together.
All right, come on, man. I know it's Monday. Get it together now. Get it together.
More Trump. I made the mistake of touching one of the pop-up ads. If I didn't endorse him, he wouldn't have won, Trump added, referring to DeSantis's successful bid for governor. Trump had said similar things in the past. In October, Trump said, if I faced DeSantis, I'd beat him like I would beat everyone else. While neither Trump nor DeSantis have announced a 2024 run, they both will. Trump told the New Yorker that he's very close to making a decision. Very close, Tom.
Another 2 weeks, we're getting our great healthcare plan. In 2 weeks, it's coming, I swear.
Sources who spoke with People magazine last week claimed that Trump was unhappy to see DeSantis potentially angling for a 2024 run. That's exactly what DeSantis is doing, Dom. Trump is right that he created DeSantis. Dave Ehrenberg, state attorney for Palm Beach County and former member of the Florida Senate, told the magazine, polls showed that Trump's 2018 endorsement gave DeSantis an edge in the Florida governor's race. You don't shove Dr. Frankenstein aside. I guess in that analogy, that makes Trump Frankenstein. Another source who was described as a longtime New York business friend of the former president added, Donald thinks DeSantis owes his political career to him. And this has caused political friction. Yes, it has. Plus, they were never close friends. They never mixed well.
I don't have a crew. Sorry, dude.
Oh, well, I was just coughing. I thought maybe you could just cover for me. That's the end of the article, man.
Tell me more about.
No, I'll do all the talking through the coughs. No, I'm good. That's it.
That was it.
Oh, that was the abbreviated
I thought there was more.
Well, only if you go to the original source at the New Yorker. There's lots more. I didn't have time for lots more. I had coughs.
As mentioned here, let me throw a little more on here from the New Yorker, the closing few paragraphs. As Crudy mentioned, very close to decision about making a decision. Very close about making a decision whether to run. I don't know if Ron's running. You have to ask him. His prerogative, as Crudy mentioned. Trump still has a solid advantage. DeSantis's constituency was Trump's first. Trump seems to want to keep it that way. A consultant who has worked for several Republican candidates said that the former president has talked with confidence about ways to stop DeSantis. Trump world is working overtime to find ways to burn DeSantis down. They really hate him. Ooh, they hate the threats, man. If you're not just a slimy yes coffee boy, you're against them. But Trump may have good reasons to sit out the election. He can do everything now that he could do when he was president, except shoot off missiles, the consultant who knows both him and DeSantis said. He's making a lot of money. That's the most important thing to him. Without Trump in the primaries, DeSantis would likely have an immediate lead. A nationwide survey conducted by pollster Tony Fabrizio suggested that 39% of the Republican voters would support him. His nearest challenger is Mike Pence with 15%. Whatever discussions DeSantis is having about the subject in private, in part because of the uncertainty, is good for him. The moment he shows up in Iowa, the surprise is over, the consultant to the Republican candidates told me. In the meantime, all of the consultant's colleagues are lining up to work for DeSantis. Everyone is trying to get a piece of him. DeSantis has remade the political landscape in Florida. It seems conceivable that he could attempt something similar on a national level, though some political observers wonder whether he could endure the countless hours of banal conversation required to succeed in a national election. He's going to have to go sit at a diner and listen to the local county chairman talk for 20 minutes. Republican consultant told me, I don't know if he can do that.
Talking about Trump or DeSantis or both?
Both. It is possible that the only thing that will complicate DeSantis' ascent is his own impatience. At 43, he can afford to wait, but there is every indication that he doesn't want to. Ron has been told for 4 years that he's Trump's successor, that all the women want to sleep with him and all the men want to be him. The consultant.
I thought that was us.
That is us. What are you talking about? Ron has heard way too many times, you're next. Ron DeSantis. He's only 43? Man. Such a child.
Ivy League grad, captain of the college baseball team, married to a pretty media sort. Apparently the wife is the real brains
captain
behind
of the baseball team, huh? Wow. And
real brains behind the
track. You know what?
Throne.
Come on, man.
It's like Game of Thrones, dude. I hear they're coming out with a new version.
Is this the new version? I mean, DeSantis, I guess, he hasn't started an insurrection, right? And I'm not clear. I mean, what's his position? Is he like?
Yeah, I'd give him time.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got his own private election army now in Florida, man. He's full
Trump is showing people the way. So until there is consequence for Trump, DeSantis has every reason to embrace the same philosophy, to try to get all his ducks in a row, to try to get all of his people in the right spot, to do the thing to make it easier for him. This is the constant power grab. And I don't give a damn what school the guy went to or what his wife looks like, or that he was captain of the baseball team. Do you believe in democracy? Do you believe that Joe Biden won a free and fair election? I mean, these are the things that matter. We already know how the Republicans are. Look at Texas. They hate the gays, man. They're saying it. They want to take, if it's not enumerated in the Constitution, to hell with it. We're originalists. Well, what was the original Constitution, right? How to treat women, how to treat black people, how to treat, non-land owning white men. I mean, we know what this is all about. And so to try to Oh, he went to a good school. Well, to hell with that. So what? So what? What is he doing now?
Apparently, he has got the support of at least one prominent African American. Talking about Ron DeSantis, Elon Musk. And on news that Elon Musk may favor DeSantis in the next, presidential campaign, DeSantis was bragging about his African American support. See what he did there, Dom?
I see that. Yeah, I see that. That seems pretty par for the course, especially we're celebrating the first federal holiday of Juneteenth today, and that's something like DeSantis would be snarky about.
That means well, go ahead.
I mean, it seems so in your face and so antithetical to everything that I would have historically believed that the Republicans thought they believed. You know what I'm saying?
They never had any driving central moral character. It was all just talking points, bumper stickers, and BS.
And a thirst and a quest for power, regardless of what it says. And if tax cuts will get me elected, great. If I can, be a toady for Donald Trump, great. If that gets me paid, if I can cash the NRA checks and that gets me in power, great. But then they get in there and what do? Well, then they go try to raise more money to stay in power for a longer period of time. Are they representing their constituents? I mean, perhaps that's up to the constituents to decide that for themselves. But, it's not about tax cuts. It's about whether or not you want to overthrow the government when you lose. And those are, we can't even talk about tax cuts. I can't even, there's no compromise with terrorists. And this party has become the party of domestic terrorists. They support the Proud Boys. They embrace the Oath Keepers, the Southern Baptists, the white national, the religious freakness of it all to declare that no, I mean, even though you may not be like me, maybe you're gay, maybe you're trans, maybe you're whatever it is that you are not like me. They can't just live and let live. They're going to use their mythology and the religion to browbeat everybody into the existence that they want. I mean, this is their version of Sharia law, and all the people that were so concerned about, oh my God, Islam. Oh, they're taking over Sharia law. What do you think you're doing? How is your philosophy any different at all? Trying to force your will upon other people against their will.
Well, they of course support the good white Christian God,
the blonde hair, Jesus God,
the only true God. I like to pray to the baby Jesus.
Yeah, come on, man. It's this combination of all these different groups is quite a coalition of the unwilling.
Come back, more Devil's Advocates Radio, 844-96-PARTY.
Saturday workouts.
Hey, girl. Hey, what's up? You almost done? About 2 minutes or so. Meet you outside.
Then brunch.
See you there.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
I am not Alex Jones.
But you play him on the radio.
And we are back. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you don't call us right down this last segment at 844-967-2789, you're a filthy communist and you are supporting the enemy.
That's a reasonable impersonation of Alex.
All right.
But,
I got to work on it.
You lack the proper intensity. It's got to be more angry.
I need to be a little bit closer to a heart attack.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
We're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Dom, I understand you got something you'd like to lead back.
This
what
hearing.
did Trump know and when did he know it?
We know what he knows. We know. We already know, even if he hasn't said it. Another J6 committee hearing starting tomorrow, noon Central Time. Of course, we'll be airing that here. But wanted to talk a little bit about some of the issues that will be discussed from the Washington Post. Trump campaign documents give an inside look at the fake elector plan. And this one really gets me. I mean, not only did it happen here in the state of Wisconsin, but the casualness by which all these Republicans engaged in this conspiracy. And I don't know why this isn't maybe it should be a RICO investigation. Perhaps Fonnie Willis, the
Fulton County
DA, maybe leaning in that direction, a RICO prosecution of Trump. We'll have to wait and see how that rolls out. But a little bit from the Washington Post to kind of refresh all our memories in anticipation of tomorrow's big hearing. I'm going to jump down to the body of this piece at the Post. Internal campaign emails and memos reveal that the convening of the fake electors appeared to be a much more concerted strategy intended to give Vice President Mike Pence a reason to declare the outcome of the election was somehow in doubt when he was to preside over the congressional counting of the Electoral College votes. The documents showed the Trump team pushed ahead and urged electors to meet, then pressured Pence to cite the alternate Trump slates, even as various Trump lawyers acknowledged privately they did not have legal validity and the gatherings had not been in compliance with state laws. In a public hearing on Thursday, the House committee investigating the attack on the Capitol explored the end of the story, the pressure campaign placed on Pence to accept the Trump electors as somehow legitimate. Committee members have said that Tuesday's hearing will focus on what came before that, how the elector scheme was organized, and the ways Trump pressured officials in swing states to go along with his false claims that Biden had lost. Adam Schiff said on CNN's State of the Union Sunday, "We'll show evidence of the president's involvement in this scheme. Will also, again, show evidence about what his own lawyers came to think of this scheme, and will show courageous state officials who stood up and said they wouldn't go along with this plan to either call legislatures back into session or decertify the results for Joe Biden." The testimony and evidence presented by the committee will build on an argument it made in federal court in California, where it successfully obtained a judge's order forcing Trump lawyer John Eastman to turn over records to the committee. In ordering Eastman to produce the documents, federal district court judge David Carter wrote that Eastman and Trump's endeavor amounted to, quote, a coup in search of a legal theory.
I like that line. I think that line's got teeth.
I have to get a tattoo of that. The Justice Department and the Atlanta area prosecutor are also investigating the elector scheme, issuing subpoenas and conducting interviews in recent weeks to determine whether or not it amounted to a crime. The shifting internal explanations over whether the elector strategy could be considered legitimate was typified in two emails sent late December by Eastman, constitutional law professor who was a leading proponent of the idea. In an email sent on December 19th to a California activist with whom Eastman exchanged periodic notes about the election, Eastman wrote that the electors would be, quote, dead on arrival in Congress. His reasoning, no state legislature had acted to certify them as valid. Just 4 days later, however, Eastman wrote to other Trump advisors that he believed Pence could indeed recognize the Trump electors on January 6th, apparently despite their lack of state legislative certification. The fact that we have multiple slates of electors demonstrates the uncertainty of either. That should be enough. So it wasn't that that they had the proof. I remember they went to court. What, 61 out of 62 cases they lost, and the one case they lost didn't impact the election whatsoever in Pennsylvania. It was about whether or not they could turn in their voter ID 3 days after the election. They said, no, you got 3 days. That's the window. That's it. So they lost a procedural administrative case. They won that case. They won a procedural administrative case, and they lost every other case. And then so they come up with this great idea, right? The whole time walking along with this. Well, multiple slates of electors. If we have that shows the confusion, the concern that these state legislators obviously must have, because why would they possibly put forth 2 slate of electors? And that was their justification, right? That was their the pressure on Pence. That's why they did it. And the state of Wisconsin and other states went along with it. Hey, that's a great idea. Let's confuse it. Let's muddy it. Let's try to give Pence some reason, although they lost every case. There's no evidence of fraud. And all those Republicans, many of them won on the very same day, on the very same ballot, on the very same election process that they are saying Biden lost on, that Biden cheated Trump out of. This is going to be huge.
Don, more from the reporting at the Post. The emails show that some Trump advisors began strategizing just days after the election about how to construct a legal argument for advancing their own electors, even though the laws in every state hold that electors are determined by the certified vote of the people. In particular, they started mulling whether state legislatures, which in a number of key states were controlled by the GOP, could appoint Trump electors if the certified results showed that Biden won. Doesn't seem like they should be able to, but let me read on. Here's the quote. John, what would you think of producing a legal memo outlining the constitutional role of state legislators in designating electors? Well, that question was being posed by conservative activist Cleta Mitchell. It's got a Wisconsin connection, right? She was a partner at one of the local law firms.
Yes, she was.
And then she wasn't. She's another lawyer advising Trump's team, wrote to Eastman 2 days after the November vote. A movement is stirring, but needs constitutional support. So we got this coup plan notion in mind, but we need someone to give us legal cover, right?
Yes.
So anyways, we'll come back. We are the Devil's Advocates, the happier. We're rolling through the Monday edition. You can always be a part of this show, 844-967-2789. The J6 hearings begin again tomorrow in earnest. High noon right here on Devil Radio and the Shhhh. We'll play them again on Thursday. And then the following week should be some sort of a prime time wrap up with Adam Kinzinger leading. But Tuesday, tomorrow, Adam Schiff. And I know they're not going to like Shifty Schiff over on Fox News.
I can't wait, man.
Trump's going to have all sorts of crap to talk. But ultimately, Schiff is a smart guy, and he's going to lay out the case against Donald J. Trump and the fake electors. We'll tell you all about it when you come back. More Devil's Advocates, the Monday edition.
I'm so glad you're listening to Devil Radio. It makes me so happy. Moo.
Dark Horse Art Bar is Madison's newest live music venue and art gallery on East Washington Avenue. Check out these upcoming events at the Dark Horse. Fawn Fables from California, Thursday, June 16th. Fawn Fables blends the best part of progressive rock with folk and experimental theater, smashing musical boundaries. Thursday, June 16th, catch Fawn Fables on tour. Dark Horse Art Bar and Gallery, 756 East Washington Avenue. Find them online at darkhorsemadison.com.
This is Pat Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona. Established in 1973, I've been servicing and repairing cars in the Madison community for nearly 50 years. You can trust me to tell you what your car really needs and fix it right the first time. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to schedule an appointment today. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden says a decision on a gas tax holiday may come this week. It could mean savings of as much as 18 cents a gallon. The president told reporters in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, he'll look over the data and aides will talk to oil company CEOs.
The problem is what they've done is they've cut back on refinement. And they say because they don't want to get caught in a position where eventually they're going to move to alternative energy, renewable energy, and they don't want to get stuck.
Taxes on gasoline and diesel fuel help pay for highways. In a speech in Chicago, former Vice President Mike Pence made a brief mention of the Capitol riot, saying Americans have been through a lot over the last several years.
A global pandemic, social unrest, a divisive election, a tragic day in our nation's capital, and an administration seemingly every day driving our economy into the abyss of a socialist welfare state.
Members of the House committee investigating the Capitol riot say they may subpoena Mike Pence. Israel's weakened coalition government announced it would dissolve parliament and call for new elections, possibly in October or November. Her wife tells the AP WNBA star Brittany Griner tried to call her nearly a dozen times through the American embassy in Russia on the couple's 4th anniversary Saturday, but they never connected since the phone line at the embassy was not staffed. Sherelle Griner says the couple has not spoken by phone in the 4 months since Griner's arrest in Russia on drug-related charges. She suspects Russia thwarted the call. A taxi cab turning onto a narrow section of Broadway hit a bicyclist in New York, then swerved onto a Manhattan sidewalk and into a group of pedestrians, critically injuring 3 people. Wall Street closed for the Juneteenth holiday. This is AP News.
From Up North News, I'm Pat Kreitlow with headlines and commentary from our daily newsletter. Paul Ryan got name-checked at the most recent hearing of the January 6th committee for having reached out to Vice President Mike Pence and assuring him he was doing the right thing by not doing what Donald Trump was demanding. You remember that whole trying to throw out legitimately cast votes thing? It was about that time that Ryan had already gone public attacking fellow Republicans, people like Ron Johnson, who were saying they were going to object to some states' electoral votes and throw the matter back to Republican-controlled state legislatures. We also have a newsletter story and video with a bit about Monday's Juneteenth federal holiday and its already long-running celebration in Wisconsin. And it's another record number of people employed in Wisconsin, even if your uncle keeps telling you nobody wants to work. You can get these stories and more in our newsletter. Sign up at upnorthnewswi.com.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Monday Happy Hour. We're rolling through it. Your calls could be a big part. 844-967-2789. But Dom, let's come back to the reporting at the Washington Post. We're talking about what may soon be revealed through the January 6th hearings, but we're teaching you first. So, if you miss a couple minutes, you'll be okay. Their idea, talking about the Republican idea to steal the election, the coup, looking for a plan. Their idea was that state legislatures could step in if the election had been marred by massive fraud or illegality. The Trump campaign pushed the fraud narrative, even though the president and other top officials were told over and over, even by allies, that there was no evidence to support it. Committee evidence and testimony have shown. Here's a quote from Edward Foley, a Ohio State University law professor. That's the most important point to keep in mind here. The whole predicate was nonsense. By November 28th, Eastman had penned a 7-page memo titled The Constitutional Authority of State Legislatures to Choose Electors. Internal emails show that a copy was sent to White House staffers with a cover note that read, for POTUS. POTUS, that'd be the former POTUS, that'd be Trump. Another copy was circulated to members of the Arizona House of Representatives by a member who added that it would likely take only courage to act.
Oh, just have a little courage.
If they only had a heart down. A little bit more. Already, Trump advisors were considering how they might attempt to use the alternative elector slates to derail Biden's win at a joint session of Congress in January. Here's our Wisconsin connection, Dom. Kenneth Cheesebro A Trump legal advisor argued in an internal memo that January 6th, not December 14th, was the hard deadline for winning the election, particularly if Trump's electors meant to declare him the victor in December. Now, here in the Wisconsin state capitol, the December 14th date is pertinent because that's when we had the real electors. They came and they voted for Joe Biden. But there was also an alternative fraudulent slate of electors that apparently replicated the documents, sent it off to the National Archives, and claimed that Donald Trump had won the state of Wisconsin despite the audits, the vote tally, every other damn thing, saying nothing happened here.
Crudy, he goes on to write, it may seem odd that the electors pledged to Trump and Pence might meet and cast their votes on December 14th, even if at that juncture the Trump-Pence ticket is behind in the vote count and no certificate of election has been issued in favor of Trump and Pence. However, a fair reading of the federal statute suggests that this is a reasonable course of action.
Does it a fair reading or your preferred reading?
If he writes it, it must be true. Still, as the day approached, Cheeseborough seemed concerned about whether Trump electors could meet a set of state laws that govern how electoral college process works. In a December 9 memo, he flagged that some states had laws that might prove difficult to comply with. Oh, no. Michigan, for instance, requires that electors meet in the Senate chamber of the state capitol. An awkward requirement, he wrote, given that Gretchen Whitmer, the governor, would be presiding over the meeting of Biden's electors in the same spot. He termed Nevada law extremely problematic for the effort because it required the involvement of the Secretary of State, who had already certified Biden's win. Problematic, right? Extremely problematic. These are the current laws they're trying to do a workaround.
Well, those were the problematic ones, but there are some where they weren't problematic at all, Dom.
Crudy, he concluded the plan was unproblematic in Arizona and Wisconsin, slightly problematic in Michigan, and somewhat dicey in Georgia and Pennsylvania. Cheeseborough did not respond to a request for comment. Despite the pessimistic prognosis, the campaign pushed forward, organizing the effort, appearing to simply ignore the provisions of state laws flagged by the Massachusetts lawyer. Rebuffed by the state capitol security guard, the fake Michigan electors failed to meet in the state's Senate chamber, decamping instead to the state party headquarters to sign their documents. The Secretary of State played no role with the Republican electors in Nevada. In Georgia, a group of so-called electors took seats around a U-shaped conference room table at a hearing room at the state capitol. A printer nearby hastily installed by a Trump campaign aide in case new certificates were needed to be run off on the spot. The Trump campaign had instructed them in advance to tell no one of the plan, not even Capitol security guards. So once again, we see that the Trump campaign in a different state, as we've heard here in Wisconsin, not only involved, also keep your mouth shut. Your duties are imperative to ensure the end result, a win in Georgia for President Trump, but will be hampered unless we have complete secrecy and discretion.
Can't talk about Fight Club.
Don't talk about Fight Club. On the ground, Trump electors have said they believe they were gathering just in case their actions were later ratified by a court or a legislature. From taking a lot of political science courses, I knew that if you miss a deadline for doing this, you can't come back later and rework it, said Robert Spindell Jr., who signed an elector certificate for Trump in Wisconsin. It was generally the view of the attorney that should Trump win some states in these cases, this had to be done. So Robert Spindell Jr., he's the WEC guy. He's a Wisconsin election commissioner, right? He's also one of the 6 commissioners here in Wisconsin.
False Trump
took a couple
elector.
of political science courses, so, he knows.
I took a couple of political science courses, so, I also know that what he's describing is a coup attempt,
At 3:11 p.m., the day before the faked electors met, Eastman sent an email to a Pennsylvania lawmaker stressing he too understood that additional steps would be needed to give them legal standing. The electors absolutely need to meet, he wrote. Then, if the legislature gets some spine, those electoral votes will be available to be certified by the legislature. In the weeks before and after the real electors met, Trump and his advisors engaged in a frenzied effort to arm twist state legislatures into validating their electors. Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani, for instance, testified publicly to state lawmakers in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, urging them to act. Tuesday's hearing, this is tomorrow, will also focus on those efforts, committee members have said, featuring live testimony from Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, his colleague Gabriel Sterling, and Arizona's House Speaker Rusty Bowers. But as that strategy to get legislative sign-off broke down, the campaign appeared to settle on the idea that the existence of the rival slates was enough to give Pence room to act. So you see how
they don't need much. Just a little rope to hang the democracy with.
Exactly. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. By January 3rd, Eastman was circulating a memo that argued Pence should cite the bogus electors as legitimate, citing what he claimed were problems with how the vote was conducted. He wrote, "There are thus dual states of electors from 7 states. The lesson that we're seeing is that the people who drank all the Kool-Aid, they become increasingly unhinged and untethered to reality as the process unfolds," Foley said. "They just double down and triple down and spun more and more off into their own delusional world." Ultimately, Pence refused to recognize the Trump elector slates, earning him the president's anger and making him a target of the mob that ransacked the Capitol on January 6th. You remember? Hang Mike Pence. Hang Mike Pence.
A little bit more here, Dom. I'm going to bring us to conclusion. 4 days later, after Congress confirmed Biden's win and Trump prepared to leave office, Eastman received an email demanding to know what had happened. Tell us in layman's language what the heck happened with the dual electors. Please read the email, which was from a person whose name is redacted in the version released publicly. In his response, Eastman admitted the facts. The electors never had legal standing. No legislature certified them because governors refused to call them into session, so they had no authority, he wrote. Alas, he concluded. Well, our coup attempt failed. Too bad, so sad. It was a great legal theory for a coup attempt.
I mean, it failed this time, but as the saying goes, to paraphrase, right? And if they are not held to account for this, it's a dry run for next time, and it's going to keep on. I mean, this kind of behavior has to be dealt with, and as more of the information comes out and we read more and more, of course, Merrick Garland has to act. He's got to act at some point, and Fani Willis from Fulton County, she hopefully will sooner than later. I mean, I hope to see some actions on the New York State Attorney General's civil actions against Donald Trump. They're supposed to testify at some point soon. So
July 15th, I believe. The old man slotted for sworn depositions.
They're all kind of coming to a head at the same time. I could certainly see, if we have another week at least of testimony from the J6 committee, and I wouldn't be surprised. Literally, I wouldn't be if they have a couple of more. I mean, the whole Ginny Thomas thing. There's so many rabbit holes to go down. But as the clock runs out in Georgia and in New York State, Trump could have to be in several places at once, defending several different criminal actions. Of course, the most serious being an attempted overthrow of our government with the help of not just the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and the white nationalist religious freaks, but the GOP themselves, the state parties, the organization, the national party. They were all a part of this. And here in the state of Wisconsin, I am just so supremely offended that they just so casually, it's just in case we win something. Well, what? What are you talking about? Win what?
They had lost all the lawsuits by December 14th, the day that the fraudulent Trump electors swore on an affidavit that they were the legitimate Trump electors from the state of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Supreme Court had basically killed all avenues of appeal earlier that day. They knew there were no avenues to win a couple. There were no avenues left afforded to them in the state of Wisconsin. They'd been closed. So they knew what they were doing in real time was illegal. And this only worked if you're willing to, perpetrate a coup. Because this wasn't a just in case plan. This was a plan that they acted upon.
They say it's just in case, but we know that knowing the reporting, and I'm sure this testimony will be out tomorrow, which will again reiterate, they wanted to give Pence a reason to, say no. And they figured even if they couldn't follow through on the state laws of all these, different laws, and some are easy and some are bad, but it doesn't matter. They just decide, to hell with it anyway. Just say your electors and give Pence 2 slates of electors. And so they knew it was about the pressure. It wasn't about whether or not they would win a case. They have already, as Curdy mentioned, lost all the cases. There were no cases to win. So now it's part of the pressure campaign. So Wisconsin Republicans, Wisconsin GOP, you are a part of the conspiracy to overthrow the government. So what the hell is Josh Call doing? What the hell is Merrick Garlick doing? Let's come on, man. What do you need? How do you got to have it laid out in front of you? Because they're going to do it again. When they're fighting each other, they're going to start fighting us. Not only the terrible legislation, but the actual threats of violence, the fascism that they're bringing to bear. Come on. There's got to be some law and order types out there, right?
Well, Dom, all the law and order types, if they weren't part of the false slate of Trump electors, because let's not forget that was the highest reaches of the Republican Party here in the state of Wisconsin. If they did not find themselves in that, line, if you know what I'm saying, well, maybe they were in the line with the 15 Republican lawmakers that wrote a letter to Mike Pence on January 5th, the day before the insurrection. 14 assembly people, guys like Rantham, Chase Sortwell, and one Republican, Wisconsin State Senator Andre Jacques. They wrote a letter to the vice president the day before the insurrection saying, "Sir, would you please throw out the electoral outcomes and just throw it back to the state legislatures? Let us figure it out amongst ourselves." Come back. More Devil's Advocates. Figure it out. Dial the phone. 844-967-2789. Dom, you got thoughts here? I guess we have a little more time than we thought.
I'm furious, Curdy. I am just absolutely furious. This unequal application of the law, these claim to be do-gooders and Christians and whatever the hell they claim they are, and all they seek is the power, and they use any avenue they possibly can to try to obtain it, and then lie about it. You gotta lie about it. You gotta keep quiet, right? That's what the Trump campaign said. Gotta keep quiet. Don't say anything about it. And all we have left is what? The Department of Justice, Attorney General Call, Attorney General Garland. What is going on? Let's see some action, people.
I'm sorry, man. We can't talk about Fight Club. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. One last segment for your phone calls. 844-96-PARTY.
What grows in the forest? Our imagination and our family bonds. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
My fine guest, Maggie Dawn, attorney at law. I thought that the laws of the United States were supposed to evolve with societal norms. The vast majority of Americans, 70% approximately, believe that Roe v. Wade should be the law of the land. So that seems exactly contrary to the way the courts are supposed to evolve with our nation.
I'll just say this. The guy in Colorado can't be forced to make a gay wedding cake, but I can be forced to make a baby. I don't know about you, but that makes no damn sense to me.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
Did I get it?
Should I wait?
Is it safe? It's okay to have questions about COVID-19 vaccines. Now get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when COVID-19 vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Think you know politics? Think again. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up right now at 844-967-2789.
Hey, Dominic, since we're aspirationally seeking indictments against those we feel like are criminally complicit in the J6, how about Jenny Thomas? Which put her in the whole insurrection, the coup plot. Do you think she's got some legal liability as well?
I think she and her husband do, and obviously this is a black eye for the U.S. Supreme Court. No question about it. She was apparently very eager to set the record straight with the J6. Yeah, right.
Get rid of all the misconceptions now.
I look forward to that, but my understanding, some Facebook page that they created in order to facilitate the coup attempt has apparently been taken down or deleting photos. There's they're just going kind of backing up and whitewashing some of this stuff. So, but ultimately, this stuff's in the internet, man. It's always out there somewhere. And I hope they're tracking that down. Yes, absolutely. She should be held accountable. And anything, if they have a shared checking account with Clarence, he should also be held to account. If she had any sort of funding mechanisms whatsoever, absolutely, man. I'm so tired of this.
844-967-2789. Let me make the case for prosecuting Jenny Thomas just for a minute. A Florida prosecutor expressed doubts that Jenny Thomas would willingly testify before the House Select Committee because he said she faces criminal liability for her role in trying to overturn Donald Trump's election laws. The wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas exchanged texts about those efforts with former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and discussed other schemes to swap out lawful electors for Joe Biden with the bogus slated Trump electors. And she insisted that she would happily testify before congressional electors. I believe it when I see it, that she actually shows up, especially without a subpoena, according to Palm Beach State Attorney David Ehrenberg on MSNBC's Morning Joe. She has a lot of criminal liability. I want to know about the conversations with the Arizona leaders. I want to know about her conversations with her husband. It is astonishing that you have a Supreme Court justice ruling on matters that his own wife is involved in. That's because the Supreme Court makes their own rules and interprets their own rules. Now, host Joe Scarborough interrupted to ask what Ehrenberg meant when he said Jenny Thomas faces criminal liability. One last quote, and then to the phones, 844-967-2789. I'm building this one up, though, Dom. I like this quote.
All right.
She could be charged with obstruction of an official proceeding. You don't have to be there at the Capitol that day. She can be charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States government. And so there are potential charges, and you've got to believe her lawyers are telling her this. Also, if she shows up in lies before the committee, she could be charged with perjury. That's why I don't know if she'll show up. We'll see.
We'll see.
844-967-2789. Let's go to the phones. Wisco Paul, what do you got for us?
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Devils, just think of all the stuff poor Hillary had to go through.
What about her emails, Paul? What about her emails? Lock her up.
It's just an amazing thing. And I personally think the Supreme Court is nothing but a tool for the GOP now. Anyway, I don't see how they can.
Well, wait till next Monday when they overrule Roe v. Wade and expand the Second Amendment basically against the will of the American people.
Right, there must be a reason. That's probably the reason they're building a fence around it. But when you put this all into process, you take a look at it. The Supreme Court is just making a mockery out of themselves. It's nothing but the GOP tool. It's just crazy, man. That's all I'm saying. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem, Wisco.
Thanks, Wisco. Appreciate it. I mean, it's one thing to be a toady for the GOP and vote on their abortion because of your religious whatever. I mean, I get those are all terrible things enough from a policy standpoint. But if you are the wife of a sitting Supreme Court justice and you are engaged in communications with known insurrectionists, how is there not a John Roberts investigation? I mean, it didn't take 48 hours for Roberts at the Supreme Court to say, oh, we got to look into this, release of this Roe v. Wade draft. Oh, this is terrible. I can't have that. But then you have an insurrectionist, sitting in your midst, and you don't say boo. There's no public investigation. I mean, that's a reflection on Roberts as well. I mean, everybody better stand up and check themselves, because this is some serious BS, man.
For the sake of clarity, there's not actually an insurrectionist on the court. He just sleeps with an insurrectionist. 844.
We don't know that there's an insurrectionist on the court. If you're sleeping with an insurrectionist, you might be an insurrectionist. If you're sleeping with a Nazi, you might be a Nazi. I'm just saying.
Pizza Box Mike, welcome back. What do you got?
Hey, Mike.
I'm going to tell you, they didn't do anything to stop this ahead of time, right? We all knew about it. I mean, I'm surprised they all didn't get laid out on the lawn there, but we know the reasons why that didn't happen. So why would you expect any justice after the fact? I mean,
damn it, Pizza Box, you got a bad connection. 844-967-2789.
Because we must have justice, Pizza Box. That's why I expect it. If we don't have justice on an attempted overthrow that we've never had in this country, if there's not a comeuppance for those that are involved in, I'm not talking about the boots on the ground. I'm talking about the commanders that orchestrated, inspired, funded, and drove this to happen. If there is no justice for that, we will absolutely lose this democracy.
844-967-2789. Kurt, probably get the last word today, man. Make it a good one.
Hey, Kurt.
Hey, guys. This is what I see what our democracy has become. An analogy I'd like to use is there's a puppy that's going to lead the sidewalk to a venture in the street. There's 2 Democrats and there's 2 Republicans watching the puppy do so. We can predict what the Republicans will do. They'll talk to each other and bet how much time elapses before the dog gets run over by a car. Whereas the 2 Democrats will get into an argument and debate about how they should get the dog out of the street. This is where we're at. And Dom has said it over and over again. Where's Josh Kaul? Where's our AG? We have put people away for 10 to 20 years with far, far less evidence than what's going on now. So what do we learn from this? Well, justice is inversely proportional to your race, your wealth, and your title. So the higher you go up in title and you're white and you have the rest, chances are you go scot-free.
Well, Kurt, we're kind of counting on that. As the host of the greatest radio show ever, we're hoping we're above the law from here forward.
I mean, if they are, then we all are. And if we all are, then there's no law, and then you have total anarchy.
I'm going to call up Joe Biden and see if I can get on the blanket pardon list. Please, Joe, I need a pardon. I keep breaking laws. It's a sad subject. Thank you all for listening. Hope it's not sad. I hope you had a good time. We'll do it for you again tomorrow. And Crudy's heading up to the 3rd CD broadcasting the Democratic Party convention this weekend, broadcasting the January 6th live here and starting at noon tomorrow. And stick around. Mark Thompson, the Paul Revere Show, 7 o'clock right here, Devil Radio in the Shaw.
Listen to Devil Radio 92.7 and WGTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for progressive news talk radio, bringing you a lineup of live talk radio every single weekday. Start your mornings off with Matt Flynn Direct.